Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special masterclass today. This is part 2 of a series. And if you are coding with AI and you are a Mac developer coding with Swift, I have a very, very special treat with you today. Today, I actually have the author of tabtocode.com, and his name is Rudrank Riyam. He came all the way from India last time, and we did a part 1 series of actually coding with Swift. And the problem then was that there's like an integration with Cursor that does not exist at all. And if you want to use AI in your integrated development environment, aka Xcode, to write Swift code, it's kind of sort of impossible. And so what we're going to do today is part 2 of this series to build an app live and kind of go through some documentation and show you how a pro level person who writes software. Rudrank is also the winner of Revenue Cat campaign. There's a thing he came out to collect award as well. And so we're just going to kind of go right through it as far as like showing you how to do these types of things in the code here. And so this is going to involve, looking up documentation, playing around with Swift itself. And then since this is a live stream, you can actually ask questions. So we welcome everyone who's been joining in and welcome so much, Rudrank.
Hi, Hiri. Hi, everyone. It's been an honor to be back on this podcast, live stream.
Yes. Yeah. It's
This
like a
time
podcast.
I'm, yep. Like the last time we were there in Menlo Park, it was completely different. And now with the 12-hour difference, I'm glad that we finally got time to have this second part of the series. And I have learned a lot in the past 20 days about Cursor and very excited to share everything that I know.
This is awesome. Yeah, this is so exciting. And so what you have here is that we're going to basically take a look at some of these video generation providers. There are people who basically, you can type in a prompt and generate images, but now you can actually type in a prompt and actually generate video, which is really cool. And so a lot of this cool stuff I've been seeing, and I've been playing around with all of the server side and like the web stuff, but how do you do this on the phone, and how do you, connect all these types of things is like a big mystery. And I want to take not only you I want you to kind of show us how you use this types of stuff, because there's some cool techniques that we can learn about hot reloading, and also share some of those plugins again that people are looking for. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the your website. It says tabtocode.com. And so for those who are looking for some hints as far as like trying to get started, and a lot of this stuff that we're going to be talking about and some other things that we may not even talk about is going to be available at his website, tabtocode.com. And basically it's an ebook where all this stuff is basically collected in. So I know there's a lot of people who says, I don't have like a couple of hours to watch a stream. That's probably the best resource right now for you to go and grab some of that information as we go through it. So I'm just going to leave that here. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is, totally, it's Rudrank. That's his stuff. And it was just due to all the demand from last time, I feel like this is just something that I have to do to bring you back on. And there's a lot of people who want to do this type of workflow. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'll let you cook. Let me get some of the beats going on so that you can cook.
So I just wanted to show the biggest thing that I'm proud about is the theme that I have here. So last time I was just rocking the normal theme, which was, I think maybe some of a visual code theme or somewhat of a dark theme. But now I have something similar to Xcode, which is like a Midnight 2 theme that I found on GitHub by a very nice Chinese developer.
That's
And
awesome.
the link, I can drop the link later on, but
Cool.
for today's session, what I wanted to work on, or what we wanted to work on, is play around with the new video generation APIs. Like we went from text to text prompts, and then text to audio, then we went from text to images, which was Flux that we used last time to create a wallpaper app. This time we wanted to work and try out the text to or image to video generation. The last time it wasn't as I don't think there was an API back then, and even if there was one, it was only one provider.
That's right.
But now we are kind of lucky enough that there are like 4 providers who are giving us that option.
Wow.
So there is this website called as fal.com, and it first wants to verify that I'm a human.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
the biggest thing of file.ai is, it's first of all, it's not sponsored. it's the only provider that I found that has all of the four models that you can play with. So and it's much easier to have all the four models in one place, so you can just directly call one API and then get the data from it.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
So let's just look at some examples, like a bunny eating a carrot in the field and this race car create a 5 second slow motion video. Like
Wow.
there are so much, like look at this tiger
It's
shot, it's so
beautiful. Wow.
amazing. Like I really want something of this sort. The idea is that we create a comparison uh, thing, that we have a prompt,
Mm-hmm.
like we've provided with the images that we get on the photo picker in the
Ah.
simulator,
Okay.
and then just run all of these four models on them.
Ooh.
And
Oh, so that
how
way
that
you can figure out what videos would work really
yes
well.
which
Mm-hmm.
yes which model works really well.
Okay.
So you can, so let's just get started with Minimax
Let's do it live.
beforehand.
Yeah.
This is fully what's the word, impromptu. I have
Yes.
not worked with Minimax before, so I even
Wow.
don't know how their API looks like.
Let's go.
So this is what you get on their website. You have the prompt, you
You
have the
can make the
image
font
URL.
just a touch bigger. Maybe hit like Command plus a
uh,
one. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah.
per-
All right. You
Perfect.
can go a little bit smaller if you want. Yeah, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, if people who are watching live right now, let us know if you need it a little bit bigger or
Mhm.
how that's looking like, because we want to make sure it's clean. And it would be nice for other people who watch it back later on to make sure it's good. But I think right now I'm streaming in HD, 1080p.
Mhm.
So yeah, big shout out to everyone who's been waiting, and also kind of we have a great show. I'm really excited. So I'll let you go. Let's go.
Perfect. I so let's see what we can do. So Ray, what do you think? We should just use the normal API first and give the documentation to Cursor so that we can like start over with it. So what I have realized, I have been working on a lot of Swift packages in the past few weeks, and when I'm working on a new Swift package, I would just scrape the documentation, give it to Cursor, and then it would write the whole API and then the documentation after it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have no idea what's happening. It
Ah,
feels like I'm looking at somebody else's code.
gotcha.
So this is something I do not want. So
Um,
let's have a basic idea of how this
yeah.
API will work.
Mm-hmm.
You
I like this
provide it
idea.
with the API key,
Mm-hmm.
you provide it with the image URL, you get a request ID out of it, and then you submit that request, and then you can fetch the request again and again, and then you will get a link or the result with the output schema.
Yeah, totally. I would just
And
go with what you normally do.
mhm,
Don't try to do anything extra.
mhm,
This is your workflow, and there's a lot of people who are like you
mhm,
who test this way, and then people who are maybe on the beginner level can see what someone does in a more advanced phase. Because I think that's where people are going to be getting to, anyways. You do like the whole reason why you wrote the tab to code.com thing was so that
mhm,
to once the next step of you kind of generating code and getting what you want, you actually do have to learn how this documentation works, and then watching you go through this and how you use Cursor to like ask questions in the documentation or ask questions about sections of code you don't understand is going to be extremely insightful. And then I'll try to do my best to maybe walk people through and add additional color on the thought process, on maybe why we have to do these steps, and maybe what is a server and what's client, and like a lot of these extra
mhm.
abstractions I can kind of add some of that color, but just kind of watching you go through it. I can interrupt. And as people have questions, please feel free to pop them into the live stream. We're going to definitely feature you and stuff. So big shout outs to, Aqua Wolf also joining in the stream. And Nitin is also taking a look at us, like letting us to start cook. So yeah, that's all we got to do. So I think, yeah, just go ahead and, like cook with this is your kitchen. So do it. Let's go ahead and get this Michelin star.
Perfect. So I've already created a project in Xcode. That was the first step that I wanted to work with in Xcode. And for some really good reasons, like I feel like I'm God's favorite right now, the previews are working well.
Let's go.
So we will use previews on the side while using Cursor for our main AI driven development or the tab driven development.
Got it.
So I will open this project that I created, which is live stream example in Cursor. We have the content view and the app. I will
Mhm.
just increase the font a bit so it's
Nice.
much easier.
Great. So what you have
Then,
pulled up on the left side is Cursor,
mhm,
and on the right side you have Xcode, which has already built-in previews. So as you're changing the code, it will just show us the previews.
yep.
Okay.
And what I wanted for this idea is that instead of going through the document, like I have a brief overview of how the request will work. There'll be one request that gives me an ID, and then we hit that again and again to get the actual result, which will be the video URL. So what I will do is use a feature called as docs in Cursor. We used it last time as well. So I will use add new doc and give the link to the documentation that we just read on file.com.
Nice, nice, nice. And to get
And
there, you go to the gear and then go to the featured. I think,
yes,
yeah.
and
And
it
there's a
will
doc
say
section.
like
Yeah.
Minimax video.
Hmm.
So in the content view, what I will do is use Shift Command and I, which opens the composer view. And in this, I think you can go to view as well and open the composer from there, but I prefer the keyboard shortcuts much. It's much faster to work with them. So what I will say right now is that I like the biggest thing that I realized is that when you're working with the composer, make sure that you're very specific of what you want. So for the first iteration, I want a SwiftUI app that fetches, that sends a image URL. And in the beginning, what we will do is use the exact same hard-coded data that we have, which is the image URL and the prompt. So that will be the first step. The second step will be use a photo picker and our own prompts. But for the first citation, to see that everything works, we will use a hard-coded image URL. Then that sends a image URL. Then you will use the file.ai from the documentation of at, and then we will search the docs that we have. The docs that we are going to refer to is the Minimax video one, and then get make a request to create a new video task. After that, uh, you have to poll. So I'm using the word polling, which means that we are iteratively going to hit the API to fetch the status every 5 seconds. You have to poll and get the status every 5 seconds until it is successful. Then get the video URL and show it in a Swift UI video player. Another thing I want to mention is that I have already added my API key in the environment scheme because I did not want to expose it. I think I did it last time, so I had to go back and then just delete all my API keys. So I will say that uh, use the API. I think the name is API underscore key from the environment scheme, and then use it in the request. So I
Nice.
will hit enter and we'll see the magic.
And so, for people who are wondering why you have to keep polling it, is that what ends up happening is these jobs aren't instant. So, as soon as you send out something from your phone to the server, it's going to do something, and then it has to, like, it's going to be waiting there until it gets done. So it's kind of like, think about a restaurant when you're sitting down and you place an order. There's somebody who actually sits in between you and the cook to go check on the order every so often. And so when it's ready, they basically bring it out to your table and stuff. So it's kind of the same concept of in code, why you have to do some of these things as well, right? I don't know if that's the right.
And you can so the thing with the video generation is it usually takes half a minute to more than a minute. So you have to kind of poll the, or what usually I've started with other providers is that they will let the request open so that you can continue working on that, but that request will be open, and then as soon as that request finishes, then you can kind of get the data again. But I feel like that's a, I don't know, it has its trade-offs. I prefer polling for a big longer request.
Cool.
So
Yeah, it makes
we have,
sense.
so I will accept all the changes that composer gave me, and we will, where is it? Okay, so is the I will just make the view bigger so the
Yeah, that's
code
fine.
is much more visible.
Yeah,
So as I had said, it actually uh, followed everything well. So I'm very happy about it. I want to double check for just for my
totally.
sake. So you can see that it used the base URL from the request from the documentation that we gave it. It had indexed that. Then it used the API key from the environment scheme. So making that prompt specific was like really good. Then it generates a video. The first step is that it first submits a request. As you can see, it is a post request, so it does a post request with an authorization with a key, and then the content type as JSON. Then it sends the body, which is a stylish woman walks around a Tokyo street, and then the image URL that we had hard coded first. And then we get the data. We decode the data as a submit response, and then we get the request ID from it. The main idea of the ID is that it when we do the polling or the fetch for the status, then we send that ID to it. Then it waits for completion with the given for the given URL and the ID. And then if it is while true, which means that if the status is failed or something, if the status is anything more than completed or failed, it will do the request again. And then you can see it does a task.sleep of 5 seconds. And if it has failed, it will give me the error for it. If it has completed, then it gives me the completed status. And when we get the result, it will the result is using the it is a result response. The result response gives you the video result, which is in finally a video URL. And everything that we have done can be done now in a single a method, which is generate video. All I have to do is call the generate video method, and it should hopefully give me a URL of the video.
That's
So we
amazing.
go back to the content view. I think here, if I go back, yes, did not accept the changes
Oh,
here.
I see.
Yes,
Wow.
so in the changes that we have the content view model. It has like followed a good structure where it's not like feeding everything in the view itself. It has separated that. And in the content view model, we have the video generation service. It calls that video generation service to create the video, loads the URL, and then from that URL in the main content view, if the URL exists, it uses the SwiftUI native video player and then creates a new AV player with the given URL, and you can click on a generate video button. So if everything works well, we can go back to Xcode and see that we have in the I will just make this a bit smaller so we can see we have the generate video button. So if everything would have worked well, then this generated video will do something, and after a minute we should see a video. But let's see what happens. What do you think, Ray?
I think it'll work. Oh, did you accept the other code pieces of code?
I think it did. So it says the data could not be read because it is not in the correct format.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not know where it's going wrong, right?
Right.
So what I will do is, let's say we are maybe getting the error in the generate video method, but I do not know where I am getting the method. So what
Mm.
I will do is select all this code and then say that please add detailed logging.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
So I do not know where it's going wrong. Is it the API key that's not being able to find which step it is like having a problem with?
Dude, that's so nice that
And
it writes your debug logs for you. So then That is actually really handy. So for those who are just following along, we're doing this project here so that we can, use a prompt and try to generate video. And we're looking at 4 different video providers. So typically in our last part 1 stream, we said we want to generate a prompt to generate images. And so today we're going to use a prompt to try to generate video. And so what we've done so far is, we're going through the workflow that Rudrank is using in Cursor, and also for like Xcode as well, so you can see the previews. And so this is more of like an advanced lesson for people. It's not like necessarily completely beginner oriented at all. And so if you have been coding for a while, this is kind of like a sneak preview of what it looks like to be on the other side if you're just using Cursor and kind of balancing the two. And as we go, we're going to basically be sharing things we know. So things like adding the documentation from that provider, how having it kind of scaffold us like the very beginnings of trying to make sure that we can test this. And now that we've just basically done is just added debug logging to this, kind of working through the step by step and just showing you, how some of this kind of workflow goes together. And this is really fun because it's especially for prototyping or for playing, and to get some information is kind of cool. And then as we keep building features, kind of seeing how that progresses as well. So Brian says that when
So
he writes iOS apps, sometimes he'll have the AI hit continue because the code gets so long that it's kind of cuts off some of the code generation. It doesn't like continue that as well.
So, one thing that I've realized is that when you're working with a longer context, there is an option to use a longer context chat. Um, if I use this, it's not available in the composer, but
Yeah.
if you're using the chat window, on the top right there's an option to have a long context chat.
Hmm.
And whenever you have any features or anything that you do in this, and it will provide you step by step on the things that you have to like work through, there's also a small Q button that you can click on, and it will say open in composer. So every changes that, so in chat it does not apply all the changes automatically, but when you click on that open composer, then it will apply all the changes automatically in that long context chat. Then I think in those cases the code will not be cut off.
Hmm. Yeah, and also Claude Sonnet 3.5, like I think it has 150K context window, and the other one is like 200K. So they're sort of the same in some ways. Sometimes what the easiest thing to do is just maybe open up a new chat window or new like composer view
Mhm.
window and have it and then iterate further from that. Because it could be pretty good about grabbing, the current context of what you're working on too. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Oh, so now that you have debug logs and you hit generate video, the debug logs will just be out there at the console down below for us to debug, basically. Yes.
So what I realized looking at the debug logs is that it started the video generation. It requested, I did the request successfully. I got the request ID, and it is waiting for the completion of the request and checking status for request. So the problem is when it is checking for this request and the data could not be read, is the problem is somewhere here in this method. So what I will do is generating the video is expensive, so I will just use this request ID directly
Ah,
that we already generated. Like, it's wasteful to check for it again and again when we already have a request ID, right?
got
So
it. Good point. Yeah.
where I think there's a method up here, generate video, right? You use the request ID, or instead of hard coding here, I will just let do not change it in the method, and go back to the this one and just say, instead of try await, I will just say this is the request ID.
Perfect.
And now wait, what I think the problem is in this case is that this status response is being decoded wrong. So what I will do is command K, or let's just do a chat first, so you have a good idea of working with the chat. So I will say,
And then you GPT
and
4o
not I
mini,
use.
or the model you want to use is Claude
Oh
Sonnet. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I think I should use Sonnet because that's
Perfect.
the best one right now.
Yeah.
The I am getting an error that the data is not in correct format. Please go through the Docs. I will mention the docs again. Maybe it has missed something there. And look into the correct response schema. I apologize for the confusion. Here's the updated weight class. Let's see what changes it has made. Let's update the status structure. The status symbol is now passed as a symbol string which matches the documentation. We have kept the status same. What was it doing earlier? It's important to know that as well. This, I'm not sure what change it did, but let's see. We click on this open in composer view, and then it will apply all the changes automatically for us.
Oh, that's cool.
That
So from the
was given
chat,
in
that
the
little
chat.
cube at the bottom
Yes.
will pop it into the view and then actually then start applying that's really nice, actually. Oh, that's cool.
This is important because when you're working with chat and you're like, oh, all the changes that you made is very nice, then what you can just do is click this and it should work well.
Hmm. Yeah,
We
Doom
accept all
says
the
with
changes
cursor not
and then
applying the code all the time is kind of a known bug. Oh, that's not. Yeah, I have seen that before where it basically is doing that. So that's such a bummer. Thanks, Doom. That's so cool. Yeah.
so usually I build directly in the console itself, but for some reason it's not building. This is the fun part of working on a live stream. Everything that was working well wouldn't work during the live stream.
Hmm. Yeah. So maybe we can just go a little bit about how
Mhm.
what's your current like build config right now. It's like how do you usually build it? Or we have Xcode up, we have cursor up, and then we have like the simulator as well.
So there's an extension called a SweetPad. It is by a very nice Ukrainian developer, and this helps you do a lot of the terminal commands that you would usually do. Let's say this live stream example. Usually what you do is use the Xcode bid command outside of Xcode. Like when you're working with Xcode, you can just click on this play button and then just build the app on your phone, right? But outside of Xcode, you have to use the Xcode build command, and it is a lot of arguments that you have to put in every time. So this extension kind of has a lot of feature, and one of them is that you can do the build part and the running part uh, visually. So I can just use this and click on this build and run command as well.
And that's an extension
So
in the marketplace that people can install. I just linked it in the video as well, and then put it in the X
mhm.
stream and these other places as well. Yeah.
I'm not sure. So it says unable to find a destination matched to the provided. So right now we'll just use Xcode. So this is another example where I think it's important to use the cursor AI for the AI features, and for some reason if things do not go well, just use Xcode. You do not have to choose between either one of them. You can use both.
Yes, I think that's a really good lesson that you bring up is the fact that sometimes it's just really easy to be like, oh, I'm just only going to use this workflow, and I right now we're still so early into this like wave of things that are going
Mhm.
on, so you kind of have to use both, like you're saying, Xcode, load that up, load the other part up for cursor to maybe do some pre-filling because Xcode doesn't have these features for AI yet, and those will still be to be determined, as far as like announcements and things like that. Apple has said that they're going to do something in this space, and I think people have been using a preview version and they haven't been too excited about it. But if we're able to, scaffold up like this stuff pretty quickly in Cursor, and then pop back to Xcode, it's pretty good. As far as like beginners and stuff, that's probably a little bit more challenging, and this is kind of geared towards the people who've been doing some development for a while. And then maybe you can learn some tips here as far as like we were just using how we gave it some documentation in Cursor and how nice it was to pull that in and index it and even just build something else to get started, to kind of lay some foundation there.
Yep. So we are getting a status 405 method not allowed error. So Let's just go back to the documentation itself and see where we are going wrong. So for submitting a request, after submitting the request, we got the request ID. When you fetch the requests, I think what we are doing is correct. It's a get request with the authorization key and q dot. So I don't see anything wrong that is going on here, and the schema or the output is, it's not wrong. So we will just use another feature of Composer, which is for quick iteration called as command K. So I will just say that I'm getting this error, which is method 405, method not allowed.
And then you could do at web as well, so they can look up. Oh, you just did it. Oh, so it's just gonna add logging. Nice. Wow. Oh, I see. I see. Dang, it's fixing your actually. It's gonna give it the proper verbs for getting and stuff for the making the request. That's interesting.
So it's the web, and let me know.
And cook. Just say and cook. No, it's like, it's like sure. Is it spinning? Oh, it's waiting for results. Okay,
So visiting the results.
let's go. So yeah, interesting. Oh, so it's even logging, adding additional logging as well. That's nice.
Yes, the thing is, it's saying that this error occurs when the server does not support the HTTP method, but this method matches what we have earlier. So, and that's kind of sus.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if you could do this by hand after you apply this, and if it doesn't work, just running the curl command in the terminal and seeing what you get.
Like, makes sense. Oh, yep. So what we have here.
Because it could just be that servers are down. Usually when I get a 405 from somewhere else, it's because like the way I sent it up was incorrect. The body or something like that. It was just like malformed or something. Because I didn't have, one specific parameter in there.
I, yeah, I think I found the problem.
What's that?
No, I think I did not.
Oh.
Maybe I did. No, it does not even uses the word beer token. Just uses key.
Oh, authorization.
The,
Oh, yeah. The header could be
the,
wrong. Yeah.
that's on there. I'm still getting a 405. So let's just use what you said, um, and use a curl command out of it, which will mean I will have to expose my API key. But
No,
can
I
you?
can
No.
hide the
Oh
video.
yes.
Yeah, like this. Yes. And so what you can do is, I wonder if you can even ask it to give you a curl command.
Yes, I can. So
Okay.
this is the best part of working with cursor.
I
Like
just have the
I
two of
do
us
not
loaded. Do you want
have
me to switch it
to.
back to your screen?
Yes. So I'm still on this command, and I'll
Okay.
just say, uh,
We got it.
give me.
Yeah. Give me a
Oops,
curl command to test this out. And like, you could probably
but
just
I
do that
have
in the chat
too
window,
much.
huh?
Yes. Give me. I think it's better to do it in the chat window
Yeah.
because I do not want it to
Change
make
code.
some
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
Give me the curl command for it
Mm-hmm.
with the given request ID, and I will just copy the hard coded one that we had before.
Got it. Makes sense. Sick. That's so nice. Oh, that's great.
Perfect.
Oh, that way you can export the key as like a environment variable or something.
Yep. Then I can just use the export,
Yeah.
uh, export something in the
Yeah.
terminal
Say,
and do that.
give me the export command for the API key or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 Give me the. It sounds stupid, but
For the environment variable. Yeah. I mean, if you don't
yeah.
really always, use the shell or something, then this is kind of foreign to you, but
Mm.
this is helpful. And so the point of us, whenever you open a new terminal window, The reason why you want to export the key and put it in there, you'll probably see this around, is for that session that the terminal is open, that key would be available in the memory space. So whenever apps that are running in that specific terminal, window, when you ask for that key, you could just put the little $ variable within it. I'll change back to the one-person screen like that, or two-person screen. Yeah. Whenever you make the request in your app or in the terminal command line, that's how you're able to use those $ variables and stuff so that it can pull that from the memory from that session. And so as soon as you close that terminal window, then that key is basically no longer available in that space or other apps and stuff like that. So they have to be using that session. And that's basically what happens essentially on the server. Whenever you store like environment variables or secrets, it spins up a container and then starts basically exporting them out so that's available. And the terminal is just one way to show you how it's happening on locally in the machine, but that's actually happening in a similar way on the server. At a very high level as far as how these things are going. So yeah, right now it's just the two of us in the screen. That like your screen's not being shared at all. So let me know when you're ready to switch it back. I can also turn up the music a little bit so we can just chill a little bit. And let me just kind of catch up with the comments too, because I know people had some questions.
Yes, so I'm getting a method not allowed on the curl as well. So
Interesting. So their
maybe
documentation could be out of date.
So it wasn't something on my side then.
Yeah, that's
Very
interesting. Wow. Huh. So their documentation's already out of date, or yeah, that's pretty wild. That can happen sometimes, and I think that's another way to debug. So what we're doing right now is we started building this app to try to test some of these video providers out. And so we went to the actual documentation and then gave Cursor the documentation and told us to scaffold the initial parts of this so that we can make requests. And so it wrote that out.
I found the problem.
Okay. Want me to switch it back?
No.
Okay. I don't want to spill any of your secrets.
No, you're done. So I found the problem.
Okay.
So I think it is Cursor's. So you can switch back the
Okay, cool.
window. So so what happened was that in the first request we had a q.file.run minimax video image to video, right? And it created the base URL the whole out of this till this part, and it was supposed to only create it till this part.
Got it.
So in the first request it should have been URL string plus this. So did you see that?
Yeah.
This
It
is the
autofilled.
power of let me just
Wow.
zoom in. I love Cursor Composer. So it would automatically, like I had done nothing, but it would automatically tell me to do that.
Wow.
And then I go back to the second request, which was the base,
Mm-hmm.
this one.
Yes.
Then here I have to do nothing on this. And then even for the next request, I have to do nothing. So now when I run the program, it should give me the status completed successfully because it is already there.
Wow. And so right now it's making a new request to get a video and then coming back. Wow.
Yes, you can see that it's for the request that status is completed. But what thing that we did or Cursor did wrong is that it's checking for Cursor completed and not uppercase. So we have to just say uppercase instead.
And that's in the documentation that you
again.
saw. I see.
It's some small things that it kind of did not.
It's interesting. So it's like little details. Yeah, this is like how a developer works throughout the day. It's just like, working on one implementation detail, especially for something new, can be a little bit sometimes, like, oh, damn, uppercase, really? It's just always so funny. And going back and forth and referencing documentation, that's fascinating. Awesome.
So now after this, it is not breaking. I want to break it out from the loop. And let's try that again.
Let him cook. Ooh, okay. I like it's logging out that thing. Waiting 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
There's
One,
some
one.
problem with this logic. So we'll just go back to cursor, and in the generate video method, what we have the request ID with the result. I'll just comment it out for now, and we'll come back to this later. The main thing that I want to do is first get the video to done, like as quickly as possible. Then you iterate from there as fast as possible, and all the time that it took on going to this method. Usually, when we get a 405, it's mostly on the URL. But I guess I trusted cursor too much on this.
Yeah, it's good to double
That's a
check the code, and I think that's what's really an important lesson here is that the AI is really good at scaffolding a lot of different things, but a small detail like that can break. Let's go! Wow,
yes.
sweet.
We got the video, retrieve the URL, and it's saying that it's not working. Uh,
Yeah, if you go to the URL, I'm curious.
Retrieved. Where are you getting this? Retrieved URL for request.
Oh, I see. It could not be pulling it from the right container ID or something like that.
It is returning the URL correctly. And if we go back to our example content view, we see that it saves the video URL, and in the AV player, it sets it as the URL. Uh, so what's wrong here? And if I try to just open this video in the browser, it should work. Yep, it does. We go back to cursor and see what happened here. The video is not working. Do you know why? I see a play button with a slash on it, even though I am getting the URL back with a .mp4 suffix. It added a lot of code to make sure that the video will work.
Wow, that's
So we'll
interesting.
go back to Xcode and try to do it again. We are getting some errors. Cannot convert to value. I think this is not needed. It's too much.
Yeah.
Uh, and let's try to build the project again. Let's remove this observer.
So for those who are just tuning in right now, basically we're currently debugging an issue with, when we generate the video, we get the video URL generated, and it was not playing in the simulator there. And interesting, clean build. What if you just paste those logs in the
And
chat and just say, hey, why is it still deprecated use of, okay, AV URL asset. Interesting.
we are using the AV player item. I, all of this is not needed. Just playing it from the URL should work. Maybe in this request, let's go back to the request. We are creating a URL from the string video, and it does print the URL correctly. So we know that it is working. Uh, so because we do see it in the output.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
one thing in
Hmm.
this case, what I would do is just say here that please use the AV player directly, which is the older way of doing it,
I see.
and not. No, I think it did not understand me. I think it was my mistake. So what I meant was use AV player view in a UI view representable. So this is what you use when you need more control over the player itself in SwiftUI.
Ah,
So we create a AV view player representable that creates a AV player view from UI kit and then updates the view.
nice.
And then I hope this is, I'm just trying workarounds and hoping that something works. It says it cannot find AV player view, which makes sense. I think it should be AV foundation. What's wrong? AV player. Maybe is this correct, or it should be AV cannot find AV player view. Yep, it should be AV player view controller.
Let's
Let me
go.
go back to our simulator. I hope that it works this time. Oh no.
Interesting. Yeah, one thing I was thinking was maybe to copy your logs that spew out and then open up into a chat window and say, "Can we do a code review and debugging session?" Because
Hmm.
what's happening right now is I get the video, I get the URL, I'm able to play this in the browser, except it's just not showing up in the UI. And I've tried these methods, and these still don't work. And so, I'd like to just keep it simple and do whatever you want it to do, and then it should have like a lot of that in the context. It's like, okay, oh, I think you should paste the logs from the, or maybe may even know that. Yeah.
The thing is, we are not getting any logs as such.
Oh, I was
It's
just,
saying that
yeah. Oh, well, the logs would just
these,
show that it went through
Mhm.
all the steps successfully in terms of generating the URL and stuff. Yeah. Ah, interesting. Yeah, that
And it is
those.
an HTTPS PS request, so we
Hmm.
do not even need this ATS restriction as such
Hmm.
to allow this arbitrary loads. The URL uses HTTPS. The actual URL is being generated.
Mm.
The We are not seeing any error in the app itself. So what it is saying in this case is check if the URL is valid and accessible, and load the values for playable, and then do that. So there's this button called as apply, which will directly apply everything that it mentioned, and then we will try to build the project again.
I don't think it applied, right? Because you undid it.
It did apply.
Oh, okay, okay. Got
So
it. I got it.
this was the line that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Error, the video is not playable. Wow. So now we have okay, I get the error that the video is not playable.
And grab the logs from the console. Oh, I was gonna say from the right. Yeah, because that way, not from that one, but yeah, from there.
So it says that the retrieved result URL is this and the
Yeah,
generated URL is this.
but sometimes that helps in the context because it may not know. Like if you go back and hit the little pencil, you'll see like a different output.
Uh, this is the URL. which this URL works in the browser,
Hmm.
so why not in the app?
Perfect.
So it says that let's modify the generate video to use a URL session to download the video data. That's a lot of work, and then it loads. We can use AV asset download task to download the video as an offline asset. Wow, I didn't even know something like that existed.
Wow.
And if neither of the solution works, the issue might be related to the video formatting. Then you can use something like a VLC kit to play this video. We'll go with the solution 2 to see if AV asset works. And I'll apply these changes, and I will accept all the changes and then go back to Xcode
Do you
and
know
try
if
to
like
build
Fal
it.
has any example repos? Would be really interesting. Like, I'm just curious. I'm gonna see if I can search him around.
Which one?
If Fal AI has any example repos of like code to do this stuff. I was just gonna check. I know like AI proxy may have some examples too. AI
AI
proxy.
proxy as an example that I wanted to show if this debugging did not take much time. So what I wanted to show was this. I already had set a file for AI proxy, and they had this example of using runway Gen 3 alpha video.
Mm. Ah. Oh, that's cool.
And we can do this. Like maybe for now, if this does not work, we can switch to another model and see
Hmm.
if that one works instead.
Yeah. Operation stopped.
The server is not configured. I am getting the following error.
So we're using chat to send back the logs from the console and then giving the chat the context so it can try to basically fix some of these bugs and stuff. And then you're going back to Xcode to rebuild. So it launches back into the simulator and then try to see if we can generate it. Let him cook. There we go.
Ah, finally.
Yay. Congratulations. Does it play though? Yeah, yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yes.
There you go, man.
So it's weird that we had to go through so much of work. So
Yes.
just to recap what I did,
Right, right,
or
right.
what Composer did, is that it uh, generates the video. It gets the URL of the video that we got, then it uses URL session to download the data of that URL, which is the video itself. Then it saves that video in a permanent location in the file manager for the path downloaded video. It removes any file at there and then moves it there and then plays it offline. So this video is now offline.
I see. Yeah. So if you lose that internet connection, it still just plays. Got it.
Yes, in this case, if we did not have to do any of this drama that we just did, maybe there's something wrong. I just cannot figure out why. But now that we have got it working,
That's
what do
right.
you want to do next? Do you want to use a custom prompt?
Sure. Yeah, we could do that. That'd be kind of fun.
So let's remove. Let's try to just use the what's this, the video player from SwiftUI itself, and see if this works again. Like use the I think cursor tab should work here. Video player, like if I say video player, and instead of player, it should directly use the player itself. And instead of using Xcode again and again, I wanted to try and build it directly on this this itself, and let's see if we can do that. Because what I did this time was, I was earlier using iPhone 16 to build. Now I'm using iPhone 16 Pro to build. So it has successfully built using the sweetpad extension that I had mentioned before. And I have added key bindings to it. So like when I click on sweetpad build, you can see that I have added a keypad bindings to uh, command B, which is what you use in Xcode. And then I have added uh, build and run as shift command R, because command R had too many conflicts. And yesterday I got this thing in my uh, comment section on Twitter, is that how do you access, like it took me 10 minutes to access the keyboard binding interface. So there is a
Oh,
very nice shortcut for this, which is command R and then command S, and then you get all the key bindings.
so Command R and then Command S gives you all the key bindings, and that's how you then map the Command B for the sweetpad build, which is what you would
Yeah.
normally do in
Yes.
Xcode to build. And then the
Yes.
wow, okay,
You even have a key binding for open Xcode, or like refresh a view or clean build,
dang, that's
and
nice.
clean build, debug build, run build. There's so many that
And
we can
so this is
like
like
work with.
if you look into Studio, just type in sweetpad extension. This is something that you can pull up, and you'll see it's mentioned for VS Code, but this also works in Cursor. Cursor is a VS Code fork, so that's and it actually works between the two right now. Yeah. Or yeah, just go to the extensions itself and look for
Yep.
sweetpad and install it. Oh, that's fantastic.
Restart extension. I think the uh, founder was working on something. I was going through the code. This is the best part about open source. Like right now it just updated, because I know that he has been working on a whole new test viewer, so you can also run tests directly from it and see all the tests, similar to how you have in Xcode, which is very cool. So that's like I'm one of the sponsors, I'm sponsoring his work, so I'm biased. So but it is one of the best extensions out there for working with Swift development in Cursor.
That's very cool. So
uh,
awesome.
so getting back to what we were before, I had hard coded this, so we will just use the submit request directly. And I also had commented this out, so we have to figure that out as well. Wait for completion. What was the problem with it? We are not getting this anymore, so we can just
Mm.
remove
All
this
right.
code. And status completed uppercase. If it has failed, you debug it and wait for five
And his name is
seconds
Rudrank. My bad.
What happened?
Oh, I had the studio pulled up,
Okay, okay.
and it just like loaded up the live video because I was just trying to mess around.
And I think we return. Yes, so the next step that we have for us is to use the command R to directly run in the simulator itself from Cursor and not use Xcode. It's
Hmm.
not that I hate Xcode, it's just that I hate the context switching that we have to do again and again.
Right.
So we'll try to build a from the, where how is it, sweetpad, and then we have the terminal. And the another thing that we wanted to do was, now that we have one video working, the second thing is to have our own custom prompt and the image, right?
Yes, that's right. That's
So
right. Exactly. Yeah.
now I'm directly using Cursor, so I can minimize this, so I don't have to deal with context switching anymore. And I will make this give me a second. So fatal error, API key not found in environment. So this is another example why we need to use, in this case, Xcode, because my key is in the environment scheme of Xcode and not in
Mm,
Cursor.
mm.
Did not figure out how to do that. What I can usually do is, if you can, in this case, for the live stream, just use Xcode.
I see. Okay. Yeah. That makes.
So
Yeah.
what I was suggesting was that we usually in these cases we create a .env file, an environment file at the root directory, and then get the value from there.
I see. I see. And the way that Xcode builds, you can stash that in a different place, and then that way it doesn't like
Yes.
in
Yep.
its build process, it'll just pull it into at build time and then put it into the environment
Yes.
of the app.
So now now you can see that for this particular request, you can see the status is in progress. So it is checking again and again until we get the new video created. Right now it is still in progress, and every
Wow.
5 seconds is checking for that.
Mm.
We can even do it 10 seconds,
Hmm.
so that requests are less, but it doesn't
It doesn't
matter
cost
much
you
here.
more. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Got it. Yeah. So in essence, what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're basically, making this app to generate videos just with the prompt. And so we started, by looking at the documentation and then having Cursor go ahead and try to see if they could build that for us. And then from there, it did. And then we worked through some issues with actually, it did receive the URL. And we had some other issues with it actually kind of being malformed. So we were kind of walking you through the workflow of like debugging. And then we've also shared some information about, how you would do the stuff manually to create like a curl command in the console. So you can test it out to make sure that your requests are going through. In doing so, we found some bugs in the implementation, which is kind of cool because that's what happens when AI writes code for you, and even humans do that too. You'll make one mistake, and then there are all the little details that happen. Like for example, sending a request, you have to have some for this specific provider. I wanted some things in uppercase, and so we had to make that change and kind of go through. And this is just normal software development. And so this is definitely like if you're a beginner, just don't get afraid that these mistakes happen. I feel like that's the whole reason why we're doing this live, is to show you it's like it's not that simple as everyone makes. It's like 2 seconds to make a thing. It's really simple if you get a lot of boilerplate code, obviously, but you're going to learn a lot just going through by hand and breaking things. And then you figure out, oh, this provider always wants some things in a certain way, and they're different from these other people. And then you can kind of now understand the discourse of why people are so angry online sometimes because they're just frustrated that everyone else does something some way and then someone doesn't implement it in a similar way, and then you kind of pull your hair out. So it's like but it's okay. That's just the nature of software development. I feel like with these types of tools, it would have taken us even longer to try to figure this out by hand. We'd have to reach out to resources, go to Stack Overflow, and these different types of things. I'm not saying that those aren't what we do today, but we're trying to speed up this process. And in that whole thing, just showing you how we use Cursor, or how Rudrank actually uses Cursor. And so, to do these types of things, document lookup, pulling in documentations, changing pieces of code, and so forth. So I think that could be very helpful. And since this is a live stream, this is pretty nice because people can ask questions and pull stuff in. And we've had a little bit of participation in the chat. So this is just kind of giving you a heads up as far as like what we're covering here today.
So for some reason, it's still checking in progress. I do not know if this model takes a lot of time or not. So what I want to do next is let's spice some things up, because now we have a general idea on how everything will work, and then now we can kind of accelerate on how we are going to work with, right?
Hmm.
So I have two options right now. The first one is that we, instead of having the image URL directly from here, we can have our own image or the own prompt. But I will have to see. So right now, the image URL, if I go back to the Minimax, the API documentation, what I want to know is that you can also pass your data without, you can pass the base 64 data URI. The API will handle the file decoding. So what I understand from this is that you can provide the image, you are not, you do not have to provide the image URL. You can also just provide the image directly from your local device and decode it to base 64, and
Ooh,
from that it will decode it for you on their server. So you do not have to first upload it somewhere and
nice.
then do something about it.
Oh, that's cool. If you want to drag that guest eCam live thing to like the bottom right corner or something.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
So first thing I want to do is that instead of, we will keep Minimax on the side, and for the models I want to play with the I think the it's called as runway.
Oh yeah,
Gen 3 model,
yeah. Oh, that'd be
because
so cool.
that model is the fastest out there, so I can iterate faster
Oh,
with that model.
yeah. Let's do that.
And this will give an idea, like,
Oh
and
my
we can use this
gosh, that's
cutie
so cute.
bunny as well.
Let's go.
so so if you see how this request works, it works exactly the same like we did before. It uses the file AI runway gen 3 model. You give the authorization, content, prompt, image URL, submit a request, fetch a request, and do everything. So what I want you to do this time is that take this link, and one thing I wanted to show this time is different from the cursor itself, but I found it very cool. So there's this link called as firecrawl.dev. This is one of my favorite APIs this month. It turns your websites into LLM ready data. It's not sponsored, I just found it very cool. So when I click on this link and start generating, what it does, it scrapes everything that is on that page and then gives me as a JSON response or a markdown. And
Wow.
then I can just directly copy this code. Instead of like copy pasting everything on this, I have a structured data that I can use. And then on this page I can say that, let's create a new composer. I have another model that I want to use, and here is the data about it. And then just paste everything.
Wow.
And then when we are done, I say that please kind create uh, cases to switch between the two models in the UI as well, because the requests are kind of same. So I'm hoping that a composer will be able to distinguish between that, and then create a video generation class. And then you can see that it created an enumeration which has the mini max model and now the runway gen 3 model.
Wow.
And then it takes the API key like before. And then if we go back to the file, let it cook, let it cook first,
Let it
and
go.
then we'll
So just as a summary, what we did is that we found another model that we're going to use, which is the Runway Gen ML. And that's the one that has a cute little bunny. So we're going to have two models that we can switch back and forth for our prompt. And then what you did is that you went to Firecrawl, which is not sponsored or anything like that. You just have been using this a lot to generate markdown documentation or get the actual API stuff. Just give it the URL and it converts it to markdown. And then once that documentation is converted, you just open up a new composer window, which then you put that documentation inside of and then give it some instructions of what you want to do. Because it has all that in its context, composer should be smart enough to build that out for you as like a first MVP run. So yeah, let's see.
So one thing that is missing in this code, if I'm not wrong, uh, you can see that this base URL has been marked, because another thing that I'm using in the cursor to have the experience similar to Xcode is I have what is it called, from the Swift debugging. So if I go to Speedpad extensions website, uh, if I use the debugging, like like it is similar to follow, we use an LLDB extension that helps me create a launch.json file. And just give me one second, this is not it. It's the autocomplete functionality, which is the Xcode build server. So the idea is that it helps me integrate with Xcode itself. So whenever there is any issues like this, which says that cannot find base URL in scope, then I can know it already, and it provides a very similar experience to what we get on those particular lines in Xcode. So this is a good example of trying to have everything in a cursor itself and not switching back and forth with Xcode. So it has said that cannot find base URL in scope. So what it did was it cannot find, and when I clicked on the AI fix, it says how can I resolve this. So the base URL was missing when it did the new implementation, and now it provided us the base URL here instead.
Ah, interesting. Oh, it gives the two because it's switching between the two models.
Yeah, yes. So
Yeah.
I would have expected something better. So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not how I would write. So I would say that please just put the base URL as a variable in the video model itself, which makes sense
Yes, exactly.
because this
Don't be so lazy.
enum that we have, don't be so lazy, man.
Right.
So this is like some better code where we can switch between the two things. And here you would see that it kind of made the same mistake, that it is providing minimax video, but it is also providing the image to video as a uh,
You
in
may want to open up a new
runway
chat
gentry.
so it has like a
So
new
I would just say,
context. Yeah.
please do not add image to video to the base URL, because that's not the part of the base URL, it's part of the different requests that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it should do it in please update submit request method accordingly. So these are the times when because I know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
things works pretty well, because I can see the method that I did not do good on this part, so I can.
It's like you're talking to a junior developer and saying, "Hey, do these things for me," because they don't know what to do next. It's like, yeah,
So just to make sure that I'm following up with the model, it does add turbo gen 3. So like I know this is plain wrong here. So what we can do is just do it manually.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say either to do it manually or open up like a composer window where you're just kind of focused on like some very specific.
Just base base URL plus not request. It has to do image to video.
It's kind of cool to watch this
Yep.
autocomplete as you type.
It is, and it's just one line or one word. When it's doing the whole methods, oh man, that's the coolest or the most magical thing I've seen. So, because I did not take this code, I forgot to apply this one. Let me just quickly apply this part. Yep, perfect. And in the content view, it also added a picker model. So when I run the app, we should see a picker model to choose between the views. And let's see how the new way of working looks like. We have SweetPad.
Get some vibes in here. Thank you all for tuning in right now on a Sunday. It's currently 10:33 a.m. on my side of the world. It's about, what time is it on your end?
11.
11
p.m.
p.m. where Rudrank is at. And so everyone who's been tuning in from all sides of the world, what we're doing right now is basically making our own cool app in Swift and using these video models. And so we're previously in the part 1 masterclass, we basically made it an image generation. So you can type in a prompt and it'll generate images for you. And we made a little like thumbnail gallery. And so today we're basically going to be comparing a couple different models to generate video. And so we've done already the first step. And we're just kind of taking you through how we connect Cursor. Rudrank specifically connects Cursor with Xcode. We're using SweetPad for some of the plugins here to help with some of the compiling and all the other stuff that you would normally have in Xcode. The whole goal of this is really to just understand how to use AI in a different workflow. It's not something that's currently offered in Apple's Xcode product at this very moment. That could change in the future. But like one of the advantages that we've been able to see is just the fact that you can just give it documentation and have it scaffold things. Another big advantage that Cursor has is that when you're starting to actually write code and go in and change different methods, as you're tabbing through, it's going to try to understand what you're trying to do next. And so, we've done a lot of like a little bit of debugging at the beginning, and we've kind of went through some of those steps to kind of show you like some of the aha stuff. So yeah, this is basically not rehearsed. We're just literally doing this live. And the advantage of doing it live is to show you how things actually do happen. So when you're doing this and you run into issues, even if you're not experienced, this can happen. So we're just kind of talking you through, and a lot of people have commented saying they find a lot of value in just watching us, do the coding and talk about experiences and stuff. And we find that extremely valuable. And if you're looking for a shortened version, I'm actually trying to like find a good editor right now to try to take some of my old live streams and see if they can cut them up. And I'm actually trying to make some apps too using 11 Labs to cut down some of the more interesting parts of my video. So if you want to learn about any specific sections and stuff, feel free to drop any comments. This is a live stream right now, which is nice. So feel free to add a comment and I'll be able to pull it up. Like my friend Brian here has just made a comment, said nice, yes. So that we can just easily bring you right up and kind of do this thing. So if you have any questions about how you've been implementing the cursor or bugs and stuff, we can probably try to field those towards the end of the live stream, and anything that's kind of in the middle of that, I could try to bring it up. So just FYI, how we do things. So let's go. So you're trying to build the app right now and it's having some bugs?
So there were some bugs because it was using the old way of using the base URL. So I had to change the way to use the new selected model.base URL. And if I try to run the app, why is it crashing?
That's a feature. Crash log. What's the course?
Let's see. So in these cases, I have to be really honest, like working with Xcode has its own advantage because it's so much nicer visually to see what goes wrong. Like in this
okay.
case, I a cursor will just close the app because it's not meant for iOS development in the first place. We are all trying to make it work. It's similar as how you are using SwiftUI and I try to use some other architecture which not supposed to be used with. So we have gotten our app working. So we have Minimax and Runway Gen 3. We are clicking on generate request. It has created a request and we see that the request status is complete.
Big shout out to Brian, who says that he loves this format, especially Swift-based AI video streams. Yeah, I don't think there's enough of this types of streams going on because this is like really active in development, and these people are usually pretty busy. It took them a lot to encourage ourselves and myself to turn on the camera and just speak and share what I know. And it's really cool to see other people focusing on the Swift stuff. And Rudrank has been, it's been awesome to kind of see you, try out these new models and be very passionate about it. And I think I want to try to share more from the community. And, it's been starting off with connecting with these different folks. So definitely appreciate everyone who's been able to chill with us on this Sunday stream. Keep the vibes going. Let's see, my music is maybe too loud. How's my music levels? Is it okay?
I cannot hear it at all.
Okay. I had it really low and I wasn't sure if your voice was okay. Yeah. Okay. So right now it's on. It's just really low.
This is stuck on loop.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cursor and Chill with Swift, featuring Rudrank. So we're trying to get this video model load, and it's not behaving. So what Rudrank is going to do is going to pull out a sandal and just slap it in the face. Let's go.
So I'm getting this response successfully and it's not able, it's going under this instead of this. So let's just use the command key and give, this is the response. and then it will try to fix it automatically on itself. And then it uses the status response, which is this one, to get the status. So like, to reiterate, what I was doing was, it was stuck in this loop because even though the status was coming as completed, the earlier way that we were trying to get the response, we were just checking it for the string. But if I when I went to the logs, I see that the request was in a JSON with the status key and the value of completed. That's why it was not working well.
That's funny. And the other thing, it was because if we don't read the documentation, that's probably in the documentation and we just totally skipped over it. And so did the AI, right?
Yep. Usually, like, when I'm not live streaming, I'm better. Way
Yeah.
I'm better.
I know there's something about when the camera turns on and the lights are on, they're just kind of, it makes you super nervous and stuff. Yeah. It's okay, man. I feel like that's, I don't know, like just being raw and authentic is super helpful. Even if it is mistakes, because it's just kind of how we navigate through things. There's a big tendency, especially as we are doing like development, for everything to be kind of perfect. And so I'm trying to kind of change that, or challenge the status quo of people who are doing live streaming thing, or just, that's why even just live stream in general instead of a pre-recorded video, because we could have done this pre-recorded and edited all these things out. And so I think we can just start off with like a base of, us trying to code and do these things. When I say us, I mean you coding. But then, I like, we can cut these up into smaller pieces and have some more like digestible types of things, which is, it's totally fixable problem. But I think there's a lot of learning, like people who are here watching, to see this format, to see how you're looking at the models, how you're implementing it, how to use AI to even augment this stuff. And I think it's still pretty valuable for a lot of people. So just because it doesn't necessarily work first try, it's not so flashy and fancy, there's still some value there. So just wanted to share that. So if you're digging it, drop some comments right now on the stream. Like, give a little thumbs up, tag a little emoji. Tell me, tell us what you're working on. Kind of curious to see what people are working on and what you're up to. Are you looking at back-end development? I know some people were looking at using Expo and stuff like that, and they're trying to see, how's the Swift side of things? Is it easy to just kind of go from zero to app and stuff pretty quickly? And there's a lot of people who have different interests and stuff, so I think this is going to be very helpful. The data couldn't be read.
The data could not be read because it is missing.
Huh.
I'm getting... Is it happening with the other model as well?
Good question. Okay.
The other model usually takes much more time.
Oh, I see. Have you thought about using like the chat and going to web and typing in that same thing?
I just wanted to see I'm so used to doing Command K to get everything working.
Oh, I see.
So
I see.
just in those scenarios, I would just give it the particular error and see what we have been doing with, and then it would just go through the whole code. But now that you have mentioned it, going through it was not a good decision, because it would just go through all the code and it's not helping at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, it's just adding debugging.
It added debugging, seeing the raw response data, which is something they should have done before.
I see.
But that's a good thing. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I was kind of very dependent on the AI part. So I will just copy this. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And let's go back to this and try to run it again.
Build succeeded.
We'll use runVision again. Submitted a request. We see no value associated.
Yeah, because I was thinking if you pull
path
up,
was not found.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you have the documentation URL, so you can even give that to it as well. So like in the chat window, if you haven't added the docs, you can still give it the URL and it's going to go fetch the stuff in the chat. So one thing you could do is like, yeah, create a new chat window. Oh,
Sorry,
oh yeah,
create a new chat
yeah,
window.
create a new chat, and then give it the at URL. See, it's already going to go grab the the URL for the documentation of wherever that's at. So add a link. Yeah, is that the
I think
URL?
it's add. No. When I click on it, it says add link,
Yeah.
and then it works.
Yes.
And then I give it this raw retrieving thing,
Hmm.
and then it should hopefully do this, fix this.
Yeah.
It appears that there's an issue in the get result method. So
So the URL you gave it earlier, was that just from the documentation? Yeah.
is this updated version? It checks the HTTP status. Why does it say about the image video not found? So let's just go to the runway Gen 3 model.
Mm-hmm.
Runway Gen 3 request and request.id. I think they have kept it very similar to what we used before, so it
Yeah.
should not be a problem. But I think I found the problem.
Mm.
It- There was this word turbo as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
But is it in all the request?
Status. Turbo. Yeah.
No. It's only in this one.
Runway Gen 3. Okay.
But did I miss it in the earlier ones? The other one?
Did they add it as when you select the model as a plus, whatever it is?
So I I think it was kind of my mistake. So it should use this results endpoint turbo. Oops. And then we use this results endpoint in this method, which is the submit request. Selected model plus base plus selected model dot result endpoint. Perfect. And everything except that trick seems is similar.
Don't worry, man. Don't stress out. I
Yeah,
think this is cool.
yeah, it feels like I did like last time also, but I think kind of managed and like pulled back better last time. But this time, I'm just so tired of writing so much today on the book. I have no idea. I've written like 10,000 lines.
That's crazy. Yeah. So for those who are wondering, I guess while it's compiling or doing this thing, let's see if we can do it, and then can talk about the book that you're writing, so that people can actually, if they're experimenting with Swift and Cursor, you're basically sharing a lot of your best practices and distilling it down. You have some blog posts written, and people who watched the first version of the masterclass, you basically have distilled it all down into like a nice organized chapters. And maybe you can show us that now if you want, just to kind of show us a little bit of what you've written, and then kind of pull up your website there. I think it's tabtocode.com. So let me just put this in the comments. So it pulls up here. So yeah, Tab to Code. And yeah, it's basically an ebook, and it's basically for those who are looking for ways to improve their workflow with the AI assistants, and have reduced the friction. So you have a little bit of an introduction about the current state of what's happening, and then kind of like a getting started to configure your Mac to the way that Rudrank has it set up. And also talk about like privacy and security with your own keys. And then if you are writing a lot of code, exploring that whole thing of like what Cursor does really well is when you're typing and hitting tab and going through, doing those types of things. And then also has like, how to use Cursor's chat for assistance and so forth. And Composer and debugging, and then the hot reloading stuff that we'll eventually that we covered in the first stream is also mentioned in the book. So how to use that and how to use SweetPad, to do the build commands that he has set up here. So yeah, that's currently available, and for those who want to go check it out. So that's tab2code.com. And yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. It's actually a nice way to actually support Rudrank, who's doing these types of things. Did you get a video back already? Let's go.
Yep, it looks.
Sick. I want to see this bunny.
Yeah, I want to see the bunny as well. Like, I see that we retrieved the result
Yes.
in this video, but
Let
why
me.
is it not playing again? We are facing the same issue, I guess. So, in this case, what I can do is you can usually mock, like, if I had done the code better. So, no, there's nothing called as if I had done. We can do anything we want.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Let
so
us
what I
cook.
would do is I would just say create uh
And you
not
wouldn't do
just
that in
increase the
Composer at
font.
all?
For this, it's a small implementation. So what
Okay.
I want is to create a mock view model
Mm,
uh, that has this particular link. So what I want is that I do not want to go on creating and waiting for it to create another view, because we already have the video link. Why do I have to go through the whole process again? So just create a content view model that can generate a video. And but it
I see. I see. I see.
what I wanted it to do was create a. You were right. I should have just used Composer because it had only
It only has one context.
context
Yeah.
of this all. Yeah.
So for those who are what we're talking about here with Composer, if you hit Command K, you can do inline edits, and it's really good if you're just kind of iterating really quickly on one file. The magic of Composer is that it has access to your entire code base, every single file, and it also has access to the secret sauce that they have in the background. So they try to figure out everything you've been doing for the last 100 whatever plus iterations, what files you've changed, and they have this whole history. And so that gets loaded into its context, and as you make a request, their system will try to figure out how to load that into a request to send out to Claude Sonnet. And so it makes it feel smarter in some of the ways, and sort of the magic of Composer. Another advantage that Composer has is that it can modify multiple files in your file system at the same time, and then go through and try to make sure that your request can be done. It pretty much moves very quickly. It's like a very I would say, I was going to say the word cocky, but it's like a very confident junior engineer who's like, yeah, I know this. I graduated from MIT and Harvard, and I have a PhD and all these things. I know what I'm doing. It's like that's kind of like how the Composer AI feels. It's got that vibe to it. So it's like it just goes and straight up implements things, and it's just like, yeah, this is what you told me to implement. I got it. And you're like, bro, chill. So in essence, that's kind of what we're doing right now, is we're pulling up the Composer view, and we just kind of tell it, like, let's go ahead and do this. So that way it's less focused on one file, and then you can kind of iterate pretty quickly here. And there are a couple of other features in Composer that you can allow you to step back, because every request now makes a checkpoint, and then you can roll back to a certain checkpoint if something happened and you weren't really, it wasn't really what you were looking for.
So what I did was create a mock content view model with the particular URL that we have, and then just generate, instead of generating the video, we just mock it with a 2-second deadline.
Hmm.
And in the SwiftUI previews, we use the mock content view model instead.
Hmm.
So it will show that instead of like opening the simulator again and again, we can just iterate in Xcode directly.
Mm. Oh,
So
cool.
we
So
have
yeah, as you
some
make the
error,
changes, yeah.
cannot content to the so this is something I really wanted to talk about, which is a bit, is it advanced? Maybe it is. So right now what I have is I have a class called as content view model,
Mhm. Make it
and
a
I
little bit
also have
bigger.
a class
Yeah.
called as more content view model.
Mhm.
And then right now in the content view we are passing the content view model, and then it just passed as a more content view model, and the obvious reaction to that was that cannot convert the mock content view to the accepted argument type, right? So in these cases what you is like create a protocol for the content view model and the mock. which will have a few particular properties similar to each other, which is like is loading or player and generate video. So
Yeah,
did
cool.
you? Mhm.
Oh, I was going to say maybe talk a little bit about how like why that's important, especially for these views, and go a little bit more in detail. Yeah, that's cool.
It's important so that we can change the implementation whenever we want. So this protocol kind of defines a blueprint of what the content of the content view should be, and then we can swap in the content view whenever we want. So right now I'm using this what is it called, a more content view, and then this more content view has a hard coded URL. So instead of doing the whole request again and again, I do
Hmm.
not have to cannot conform to the
So in essence, what's happening here is that, especially if you're working with video or you're working with an API that's really expensive to call, right? If you're making all these requests, it's going to cost you a lot of money as you're trying to do these debugging. And so what's nice is that when we go ask for the video file, we already have that URL, and that's basically ours for a period of time. And so instead of trying to generate more URLs and try to debug this, you're basically kind of making a specific like mock view in Swift so that you can just feed it in, like a hard coded URL, which is the one that we got back, and then just iterate on the UI so that we can make sure that we nail down the presenting of the actual video. Because it's not necessarily about, since we've done this in multiple steps, what we're doing is like we're asking, the first step is kind of done, like going to the internet, going to this model and getting that thing pulled down. That seems to be a success. The next step is from there is like now displaying it on the device correctly. So that's kind of where we're getting hung up on a little bit. And so you don't want to like keep making requests to the internet and costing you money. We just want to kind of nail down making sure that the stuff can play. And then that's how you can do arrangements and making sure that your UI layout is going to be the way you wanted. And then when you're ready to go, take off that mock view or just go ahead and build the app. And, it's not going to use the mock view. It's just going to present to itself like what you want to see there. It's cool.
so if we use a URL directly, it's not working. And if I open it directly in the browser,
Is it
let's see
expecting a
if it
file?
works.
Yeah.
Yes, it works perfectly fine in the browser.
Hmm.
So we are kind of stuck on the same error that we got. So uh, what I would do is use the chat here.
I'll be right back. I'm going to use the restroom.
Perfect. This URL works in the browser, but not SwiftUI with. Let's see if so what happens if I just change the implementation of the video to the AV representable that we had. Mhm. That did not work. So we were talking this your word for in the SwiftUI with the SwiftUI player. I understand you are having troubles. Sometimes the special characters. I don't think there are any special characters, but we'll try to do that nonetheless. We can do this. We can apply this and see if that works. Which the idea is that I directly apply the video to the player itself. That did not work. So we'll reject that change. And then we'll try to encode it and see if that works.
Yo, yo, yo. What's Gucci fam? Have you tried GPT-4o for debugging? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think we're using Claude Sonnet as far as, I hear, yeah, GPT-4o for the 4o and mini model would be interesting.
No, I think I'll try to O1 mini model because it
Hmm.
is trained for coding itself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Let us cook. Brad, looking forward to watching the recording. Yeah, cool. If you're on X, you can actually go on to load the stream right now on YouTube. And on YouTube, you can actually go back to the very beginning if you want to. And you can like watch it at 2X to speed through things. I don't have timestamps or chapters yet, but we're going to try to do that. Numan Khan, what's up? Yo, what's up, man? Thanks everyone who's been tuning in and stuff. So basically just kind of, using coding with AI live, using Swift. And so this has been kind of fun to
Okay,
go through.
SwiftUI.
Yeah, SwiftUI, yeah. And this has been pretty fun to
This is
go
what
through.
I.
Let's go.
This is the common way.
What
You
are they
go back
doing?
to Stack Overflow.
Oh, yeah, I mean, why not, right? I mean, use everything in your powers. I feel like we don't have to pigeonhole ourselves to anything. This is just a raw session of us just kind of chilling, coding live. What else can you do on a Sunday other than just wake up and code and chill with us and vibe? Yeah, that's the vibe right now. So just if you got your IDEs up, make sure you hit the compile. Make sure you build the app. If you build it, they will come. It's a reference to Field of Dreams, a movie. I used to be a big baseball player, and so like that was kind of my. I feel like there's culturally certain movies when you grow up, if you're in a certain situation that like people just always talk about. So in baseball, like that's the movie, and I don't think it was like about building a baseball field that people will just come, out of nowhere. I'm like, this is really interesting. Funny cultural reference, but yes. Trying to apply that to code here. If you build it, will they come? I don't know. Like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it really fall? If you build an app and you don't ever ship it, did you actually build it? Yo, Ray, I created a full stack quiz application for a tech event in my college using V0 and Cursor. Sandy, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone went wild. Let's go. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Brad, what's happening, man? So cool. Yeah, thanks for joining the stream. This is so fun. We're just having a bunch of fun here. Debugging some stuff, using Swift, using Cursor. Share with friends. At the very beginning, basically what we were going through is trying to make this video player app. So not video player, we were trying to test out the different models from FAL. Runway ML, another one that we were testing out. I forgot the first one. It's from a different model, all hosted on FAL. And so first was trying to get the networking side set up to make sure that the device, simulator can go out and make the request and come back. So we were debugging some of those issues. And then now with that, we got the actual asset on the device, trying to see if we can play it back. And so we had to work around and do some things there to get that going. And so we just said, let's just tend to take this up a notch and add the second model from Runway ML and switch between the two. So we're having the same issue we had earlier, which is trying to get the video to play back actually in the thing. And what we've done recently is just kind of go through, set up a mock view so that we don't have to keep, hitting up and making a new URL to play this thing. So like if we already have the asset on disk, why can't we just use that asset to try to, or that URL? Why can't we replay that and just kind of debug the UI instead of having our pocketbook drained? So that's kind of a little bit of a summary of what we've been doing so far. How's the performance of Cursor with React Native? I have not used React Native. It may be something that I explored much later on in my journey.
My friend Thomas has used React Native, has been using React Native very thoroughly, and he loves it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, especially if you come from a JavaScript or web dev background, it's probably pretty fun, right?
No, he's a native developer,
Yo,
and
what?
because working with Cursor is kind of made for web developers mostly,
Exactly.
right? And the
Yep.
Python developers,
Yep.
not for native developers. So it
As we
does
see.
make sense that they would enjoy it much better than how we are doing it.
It's a big unlock for them. Yeah,
Yep.
I see. Dang, that's interesting. And then people in Swiftland have to spend a lot of hours like really understanding the language and going back and forth without much AI or documentation or like these types of things that help them make this stuff here. So right now you're basically debugging the video player aspect of it, making it try to play the video in your thing.
Yep, and I'm not able to do it. I have no idea why.
If you go to chat. Were you able to give it some of the output from like when you hit the play button? So what method you're calling video player?
So what it does is it just uses the normal video that I had and
Mm,
tries to download it,
mm,
and there's no downloads the video from this particular URL,
mm-hmm.
and
You can check to see that the URL is still active.
yep, it's yep, we have the cute
Oh,
bunny,
okay. Yeah, yeah. That's cool.
and it downloads it to the local system, and
Mm-hmm.
then it would then play it from locally.
Mm.
Uh, and even if I try to do it from the local URL,
So what I was going to say is like, oh, I see from local URL. Have like other repos like we were talking about earlier for AI Proxy Pro. I've like they have some examples that show this exact player
okay,
that you can
okay. So
reference from.
let's try that instead.
Mm-hmm.
And how that works out, we will just use directly what they had.
Mm.
And uh, where was it? If I go to their docs, they had
Oh, in their repo.
the sample
Yes,
apps. Yep,
sample apps. Yeah. So they'll have maybe
file sample. They only have text to image, if I'm not wrong.
um let's see, add Bootstrap and then go to demos. Go back. Yeah. Go to demos. In the
These are the
demos
starter apps, right?
demos folder, yeah. And then in there, do they have any? Yeah, that's the image one.
That's the image one. So
Yeah. Mm,
it's not been updated for some time.
I thought they had a
So
video
what I
maybe
can,
on their documentation. I'll see if I could pull it up because I thought they had one. Maybe a code snippet. View code. If you just go to
I just
Swift
want to
examples,
just,
OpenAI.
they have the code snippet, but if they had a working sample that I can just uh, put the my API key and see if that's working.
Mm,
So they have a, so I found one,
mm. Okay, cool.
and let's see how they are doing it. So they have the file service,
Mm-hmm.
very similar to what we are doing.
Yeah.
It shows takes the video URL, which is an absolute string,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the sync, no, no, in the video URL, which is somewhere, where is it? Uh, where is the video URL?
I can't see. Let's see.
Hmm.
Okay.
They have a text field type of prompt, a sync image for this.
On the right
If
side,
loading
it
generate
says video
video,
URL. On the references search. Yeah, it has
okay.
equals video URL. All right, two references.
Okay, they have an open URL.
Mm.
They're using open URL
Mm.
for this, which is a method in this file which opens the URL in Safari.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
I wonder why they are doing that.
maybe it's just fast, like a fast prototype, right?
They can, if it was just a fast prototype, they could have just used the video uh, player, right?
Mm.
So what I would search is example of video player SwiftUI.
Oh, let me see if I could take a look at Perplexity too. That pro level video player.
Because this should ideally work. Because even if I, so let's try something very simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
I create a new project
Mm-hmm.
and iOS video example. So you'll know what the problem is in the first place. Is it
Oh, I see. Is it you? Is it me?
Uh, it's hurting my confidence now.
So SwiftUI AV Kit, video player view, body some. Here, let me see if I can send you this link. Um, I don't know if this is actually helpful.
Now, this is a very simple example, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say video player,
Mm-hmm.
which is in import AV kit. It will ask me to give me a AV player, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll just give it this link that we got,
Mm-hmm.
and it should ideally
Mm.
play it. But it's not. It's in a
Got it.
very simple app.
I,
So
I sent you
the
what?
problem is
Huh?
somewhere else.
Interesting. Oh, so that's just the basic, yeah, implementation. It's still
This is
not
a
working.
very basic
Yeah,
app, right? So
that's
it's
interesting. Um,
so
let's see. Playing videos from
not
Fal
able
AI package
play
URL.
dot mp.
There's a Fal Swift package. I didn't know this.
They have one,
A
but
Fal
the
client.
package just gives you the data back, so it's not helping.
Assuming that contains a video URL, it returns a video URL,
Exactly,
and then
exactly.
okay, and then use this function in your Swift UI view to video player view. Where did they get this video player view from? Handling video playback events. So they set up an AV player, video URL player. I just sent you a
I
DM of that link.
I cannot use it because the phone is the camera is the phone,
Oh, I
and
see. Oh,
yeah.
and on the web there. Oh, you know what? If I'm gonna change the screen so it's just the both of us, and then I
Hmm.
think there's like an
Okay, okay, perfect.
interview link here that you can pull up, or are you able to pull it up now?
Yes,
Okay,
video player Swift UI.
okay, yeah, and then I could let me know when I could change it back.
Yep, yep,
Okay,
you
cool,
can.
go, yeah, perfect,
This is exactly how I am doing it.
yeah. So I think towards the bottom they had the um, like where they're calling the what I mean I guess it was calling the file client handling video playback
So,
events.
so it's not actually handling it. So
Mm,
I had a look at the file client like before this,
mm,
but the
mm-hmm,
problem is that it's maybe it's the video, or maybe it's
mm.
uh, like let's create a state private variable for player, which is of the type AV player. You can also see the predictive model of Xcode for a comparison,
Interesting. Yeah.
and like if let player and then video player, and what I would do is put it in a vstack, and then on of peer have the self dot player is equal to AV player
Oh,
with
ensure the video is
the,
encoded in a compatible format like H264 or HEVC. Interesting.
maybe that is the
Ah,
problem.
AV asset URL is playable, so you can do asset.isPlayable. Interesting. Okay.
No, no, no. I think it's still how it's maybe the format of the video or something,
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. And player status observation. Dang.
and then you'll just use force. So it did not work as well.
Mm.
Let's just see if I do add a macOS option to this and then run it on Mac itself. Does
Interesting.
that work? And macOS 15. Any my Mac. I'm hope, and then for the Mac, I would have to go to signing in capabilities, and there would be hardened runtime somewhere. Where is it?
So you don't have to like implement some asynchronous loading thing for the. It's funny because it worked before, but what were you using before to load it?
So that was from Minimax that worked. It wasn't
Ah,
from Runway.
oh, I see.
And so in this case, we have the video that is not working. Can we convert MP4 to what's the format? Best format for
H2.64
iOS, which is
or HEVC. Yeah.
isn't that for the file format, or is it the MEMO4?
Oh, the encoding for the video.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
maybe
looks
if
so
we
cute. It would have
I'm curious to see if we could do @web in the chat saying this video is coming back. I'm seeing it in my thing, but it's not playing, and we think it's possibly an encoding issue for iOS in Swift. So just create a new chat, and we just do @web with the end of the request, and see if it can actually do that search for us. And so we were saying like, hey, everything works, but like we're having this issue with. We think it's an encoding issue or something like that, and it should give us the code, I feel like, for it.
I'm getting a video that is playable on the web browser, but not on the iOS app itself. What can be the issue?
We think it's
Encoding, maybe? Please search the
@web.
web and let me know if there's a way to
Go
convert the data
for Swift UI
of
or something.
the .mp4 in Swift to a compatible
And then
format.
say that you're using AV Player or something, or whatever yeah, or it should have the context in your
Mhm.
from the code
And
base.
this time using O1 Mini, and
Oh,
I have
interesting.
not used O1 Mini in a while
Okay.
on
Oh,
chat. I have never used O1 Mini for
yeah.
chat, so let's see how the
See if
result
you can
is.
copy this request, and then we can try to see if we can do Claude as well. Dang, bro, that was
So
fast.
it says that re-encode the video. How is it re-encoding the video? So I will ask it, where is this re-encode video method?
I'm also curious that if you like after this comes out, opening up a new chat and just copying and pasting that first one and seeing
Mhm.
if Claude Sonnet returns something different. Did it come up with more stuff?
So it did, and I will just use the open in composer so that it can directly apply all the changes.
Oh, so all that conversation gets loaded in. Dang, let's go.
Yes. This was one of the coolest thing that I found, because
Whoa.
what I would do earlier would click on each of this and then
Yes,
apply manually. And when I'm
bruh.
happy with all the
Bro,
changes,
this
I
is
say,
crazy. You literally just have saved so many people. Like sometimes I have these long running chats and I was like, dang, I gotta apply all of these. I just can hit that little cube thing and just pops them right in and just like, whoop. That's hot. Not gonna lie, bro. If this works, I swear.
oh,
Okay.
just to make sure, is it the exact code that we are getting? Uh, Content fee model, re-encode. Is it using in the... So no. So what I have to do is uh, I go back to cursor and say, please use re-encode in the mock
Oh, I see.
content view model as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I was gonna
because
say, what if you just build the
if you've
app?
seen
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
uh-huh,
but that's too long.
like if you've seen that I have this cursor rule that write documentation like Apple. That's why you saw so many lines of
Oh, that's nice.
documentation,
Oh, that's
because
kind of
I
cool,
was working
actually.
on. It's kind of cool, but right now it's not cool because it's adding unnecessary lines.
I
I
see.
should have removed that.
Hmm. It is helpful though. Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I think it's interesting that that could be a helpful like step towards the end of your development process to add that as a rule, to kind of go through your
Hmm.
code base and just start doing that. Oh, that's an interesting thing.
So now we have the video encoder.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it say simulate encoding? Does it?
Hmm.
Oh no, man! I don't want you to simulate. Just use the exact one. Oof. I'm
Yeah.
just going to be a
Control
very
Z.
lazy ass and just copy paste this code. Where is it?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Uh, cannot find the re-encoded URL. Just call this the re-encoded URL. Oh, oof. Hi, this one. Sorry.
Looks legit. So this is using the URL you already had saved. What's this? Error moving.
Okay. I have to use the destination URL.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in as we're checking out this using Swift along with Cursor and Xcode to build and play with the new video models that are currently available on FAL. One of them is Runway ML, and the other one is the mini model or something. What do you call it? And so what we're doing is basically kind of showing you how, Rudrank is actually using Cursor and Xcode back and forth to develop things, along with some of the other plugins that we talked about earlier. And so this is just kind of like a working session. This is totally not rehearsed. This is completely live as we're debugging issues. You're seeing us go through and, how we use Perplexity, how we use Cursor to look for documentation, how we're using the web, everything that we possibly do to do that. So this is just kind of a nice little like Sunday chill session for those who are just kind of waking up and wanted to vibe with us. It's about like 11:30 here, a.m. in Pacific time. And on the other side of the world in India, here it's probably about midnight.
Almost midnight.
Yeah. So yeah, this is big thumbs up to everyone who's been tuning in, and like even bigger thumbs up if anyone's been here since the beginning of the stream, because you're like a true MVP, just probably having this play in the background. So that's kind of funny. So that's what's up. Yes.
So even after using our recoding algorithm, it's not working. No. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day for me.
Yeah. Because you've been kind of working on your book, which is currently called tab2code.com. So for those who aren't familiar, tab2code.com. We did a part 1 of this series live in Menlo Park last time, and I'll just kind of put this in here. And so there were so many questions that people had, and we were trying to point people to blog posts and stuff. And so Rudrank has basically put together a little booklet, distilling a lot of the knowledge, kind of taking you step by step, because a lot of people don't have a lot of time to watch the entire live stream to kind of see what we're doing as we're kind of learning on the go as well. So these here are just kind of working sessions that we have on live stream. But in that URL there, it basically has a book that's available for exploring Cursor AI Editor for iOS development. So in this exploration, kind of taking you through, how to set up the various plugins that you need to get going with hot reloading, SweetPad for iOS development to switch your build commands to run automatically with like the command B, how to go back and forth between the two different IDEs and stuff. And so, yeah, a lot of people have had a lot of questions, and It's been a labor of love from Rudrank to kind of put this together. So if you want to go ahead and support him, it's probably the best way to do that. It's a little booklet there. Probably save. It's like 2 months of using Cursor Pro, and he's kind of distilled down a lot of his knowledge here to kind of put that down there specifically for iOS development. So definitely go ahead and take a look. Yeah, I put that link down below. It says tabtocode.com. So make sure you check that out. And right now we're basically working through debugging some errors and trying to get a video player going. What we've done successfully has been able to go and grab the image from the actual endpoints. And once they're on the device, there's different issues in Swift to I think right now we're trying to figure out, is there an encoding issue? What type of thing can we do? And we're trying to look for other implementations of people who have done this successfully to make this happen. Because it's not apparently, it's sometimes this happens when you're doing development. It's especially if it's a new area for you, you're going to run into some problems with research, which is also why it's really important that people post stuff in as available as just open source, because that means other people can take that code and learn from it. And sometimes if other people haven't been doing this, it can save you lots of time. So I feel like the time that we're doing to look up this stuff is going to be helpful for other people who are getting started in AI. Specifically, Swift development and people who've wanted to work on device to load these types of things. And so some of these methodologies that we're sharing could be helpful in your workflows as well. So hopefully you get something from here. What's nice about a live stream is that, we can probably later on go ahead and grab different segments that are available that are helpful, or I'll also be planning to add some chapter notations so that we can kind of take you through those parts of the steps. So if you made it this far, if you're just kind of tuning in, this is kind of what our vibe is right now, just kind of keeping it chill while we're doing this. So yeah, it's kind of under a little break for the for the audience. That's interesting. That it's
So, right, I'm just not sure. So if I just use the normal URL, this was a sample URL I just took from a Stack Overflow video.
Mm-hmm. And if you run it in the simulator, do you think it works?
Maybe let's try.
That'd be funny if it works. It's been working there and it's just like a simulator bug.
Oh no, no, we have wasted half an hour on this. To be very funny. Yes.
That's what for people to understand. There's sometimes some bugs like in the simulator that only happen there, but don't happen on it could either happen in the preview window or it could happen in the simulator only, but it works on device. There's stuff that's device bugs only that you can't reproduce in the simulator. It's just a mess. So, dude, I bet it works. No, okay.
No,
What is
no,
the issue?
it is not.
Okay,
Glad, I'm so glad.
I'm so glad.
So, what I was thinking,
Yeah.
do you think adding that? But it's an HTTPS video. What's wrong?
Mhm.
Is there anyone in the chat who is mentioning something?
So far, no. I don't think we have anyone in the chat that's
Okay.
mentioned that. If Mr. Frank was in the building, I think he would probably give some advice. He's helped like Disney Plus and all these other people with their streaming platforms set up their streaming and has like extensive experience with all of this stuff, which would be super helpful. So is there any like additional logging that we can add to show why it would be kind of failing? Because I feel like we just kind of could probably give it more context. Is this the Safari view or is this the...
This is a normal SwiftUI video player, and nothing very fancy. Not like literally that's it. And really don't know what else to do than this. Because this is a code that I just picked up from Stack Overflow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just searching on Perplexity right now to see if there's anything interesting there. Yeah, there's like a implement error handling, which is like video playback error, and then fail to load, network error, and so forth. Create a view model.
Thing is, we are not getting any errors at all. So it's kind of bugging me. Let's say if I can uh, decrease the deployment target and just use iOS 18.
So if you refresh that link I gave you for the perplexity, it should, towards the bottom, it's talking about the error handling one. I was just curious. Because I have the pro version, it just does all these searches all over the place.
So it's a very common issue. It's just not with me. Oh, okay. So, oh my god. Please don't say that was the error. Let's see if I can use the content we had. Mark.
So what do you think the issue is?
Let's confirm first. Still does not work. Oh.
So the one here is about when it creates a view model. It says about asset load values asynchronously or playable. And it says dispatch main async.
That's not a problem. So let me just try once more
Progress.
with
Yeah.
our link, just to make sure that I'm on the correct path. Can you get rid of this? Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And what if I just use this main video player with our link?
Mm-hmm. It's been interesting. You know what's going to happen is that like, it's just going to be like this one line. You're like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy because we have been. So I think it's some problem with the video itself or the encoding. Because if this is not working, then there's some
Yeah.
problem that
Wow.
is beyond my existing knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because if one video is working and the other is not,
Yeah.
then it is very obvious that it is not a SwiftUI bug.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I think that's a really interesting thing. That we've kind of encountered here. See, what is this? Oh, I see. So those are the two providers.
No, this is some random video I found on the internet.
I see. Okay, so definitely it's playing. It's just the fact that the way it's possibly encoded is probably the issue. Is there anything in the documentation
Yes.
that says about the file encoding that they're using? File AI
Let's see.
encoding
Encoding.
for video.
Nope. What if I just try? Okay, so let's see if I can just try the link that they have, that they're showing here.
Oh, their example image
Copy
link.
this video address and then paste it here. Nope, even the video that they have, it's not working. And I get something, I don't think if it's an error related to the nope. So for some reason the video is not working. So the next step for us should be to understand why it's not working, and but it is uh,
Yeah.
so let's ask cursor for this particular line. So what I would do is just take this URL
Mm-hmm.
and use chat.
Yeah, I was just looking up on
This
Perplexity. It says based on the search results, best practices for video encoding is like choose the right codec. So H.264 AVC is widely supported and offers a good balance. H.265 HEVC is better for compression of 4K content. AV1 is emerging as a highly efficient encoding for streaming. Optimize bitrate settings, adjust for resolution and frame rate, implement multi-pass encoding as well. And so it sounds like there has to be a library that already deals with this, and I guess that's kind of my question.
maybe
Isn't there like a
oh
library?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, there should be some, let's say, like SwiftUI library for playing video, a
Mm-hmm.
very simple one that
Yes.
uses a better example.
Mm-hmm.
So this so what does it do? uh, GitHub. So playing YouTube videos, most of them are for YouTube videos, for streaming. MP4. Video component.
Hamza's just joining in, back from a long break. How's it going? So far we've been able to. Yeah, I know. At first we got the kind of video stuff working, and we were able to get the requests from the FAL. But now we've had pretty much a big problem on the stream is just trying to play the actual video from once it gets on the device. And it's possible, like, when we use a web view, it's going to show up fine. But we don't want to do web view. We want to have like a nice AV player view. And so we tested a different URL, and it's pretty much getting us to believe that there's like an encoding issue with the way that the video is coming down from FAL. So when you make a web app, you get a lot of that stuff for free, because the web browser has a lot of stuff built in to play video and so forth. So you don't necessarily have to do those things. But in Swift, when you have the device, when you have the video on device, then it needs to be in a specific format so they can play back correctly. And so that's possibly kind of what's going on. And right now we're basically looking for a library to see if we can load it up so that it can get that once the video's on the disk or it's streaming in from the URL, that it can present it properly and either decode it or encode it and then play it for us so that we can, do the thing that we need to do. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of an update of what's been kind of going on. That's a lot. And so we're doing a little bit of research using, I'm using Perplexity in the back end. Rudrank is kind of using Cursor and GitHub and everything we possibly can to find the right library to maybe help us do this. Yeah. AV player.
So it is giving me some examples. Any for SwiftUI, just want a simple one that can encode.
Let me send you one. Another new Perplexity search. Here we go.
Go to format. I guess this is the first time I'm doing anything related to this. I tried using the AV export session and it did not work as well. Maybe I can try that again on a simpler example, and maybe let's just give a few more minutes to this and see if we can handle that. So what it is saying is that is there something called as an FF? Uh, there's an
FFmpeg?
FFmpeg
Yeah.
kit.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that first one that says video player public is also referenced again in the it's WXXSW, the one that you kind of passed, but hasn't been updated in a year.
So it is asking me to use the complete solution to use CocoaPods and Carthage. I don't want to deal with
Yeah.
CocoaPods, please.
Why don't you try that one from WXXSW? Built-in caching, preloading of multiple videos, support for local and remote media. I think you had it pulled up earlier. Yeah.
What I will do is make it very simple, and instead of all this code, we will just try to open the example that I had, which is open folder and the new video example, and then we will have this not live stream example. Where is it? Just close this window, and we'll have the video example on the side where we have this file, right? Content view. And now we'll just open this on the simulator. Why is okay?
What if it works?
Not like what if it works. Like we will. The only way I can understand is by encoding. So I will just use Composer and say that this video for some reason is not working on iOS but on browser.
And you say you've tried
Please
other
encode
videos.
it.
Yeah. Please encode. Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah.
That's it.
Cook.
And I should have said that like please encode in a supported format or anything like that.
I see. So it should because it's AI, it should be sort of intelligent enough to try to figure it out. This is a good step.
Yeah. What does it mean encoded screen?
Is it just trying to encode the URL? I think, bruh. No.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like, just tell me that was the issue.
No.
I was gonna say.
No. Glad.
Yeah.
I've
Just tell it we want it. It's possible there's an issue with video encoding. Yeah.
proper format that iOS can play.
There you go. You may want to do a web.
There should be some better words.
Hertzfeld Labs. What's cracking, man? Yo, we're just trying to get videos to play using Swift without getting too fancy with crazy ass libraries. We feel like this is a solvable problem. And so what we've done so far is connect to file to generate an image of a bunny to, and this is kind of what we're doing is like having these image generation apps. So you can give it a prompt, it generates a video. So we're able to get the video from the actual model, but now to display it on iOS. It's kind of been this multi-hour the debugging session and stuff. But once we figure it out, we're going to have the code pasted so that you could take it and not have that same headache.
Yeah.
Because I feel like maybe that's probably why there's not a lot of these iOS apps, because either you know or you don't know. And if you don't know, it's just kind of like, how do you search for it? And so this being a live stream has been kind of an interesting way to showcase how we're using these different tools to search and then try to see if we can, kind of narrow down in debugging. And so I feel like there's not enough like debugging videos also on live. A lot of people just post the perfect scenario or something that's totally useless, but we're trying to make some money here with like these apps and AI and stuff. But then, we're taking you through this process. So let's see. What did it do?
It does download the video to the local host and the local path, and then process the video to encode it.
How does it do that?
And
what's it doing for processing?
Let's see. Video encoding failed. The operation could not be completed. And We'll open the.
Composer. Yeah, make that a little bit wider. Yeah, you can drag the bottom right corner or each side. Yeah, Command plus it. Let's go.
It tries different export presets.
I like this. Dang.
Oh, no, no. Let's try.
And so you basically have created a new project isolating the code specifically around this playing back thing. So we can basically try to debug and get the encoding or yeah, media decoding correctly. All the coding attempts fails. Bro, what is this video? There's got to be a way where we can put a video into some web player and it tells us like some of this media stats. So that way we can give it into the thing. Let me see if I can search that on Perplexity. Perplexity.
Can you please tell me
Is
the info?
Tell me the encoding info for a video. So I feel like we need like there's got to be like video encoding. You could just drop in a URL and say it's like, oh yeah, this is the bit rate, this is that, and this is everything we need, and then we could just pop that into the cursor and say, yeah, this is the actual video thing that we're having problems with. Let's see.
I need to upload the video, so
This is
let me just download that video.
HTML5.
That
Okay.
download video,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Perfect. Uploading. That's interesting that it wants it. Go ahead and try yourself. Did it just reset to 1%?
yeah.
What tools can check the encoding of settings of video? I'm going to also try to see if I can... Oh, it's doing analysis. Got it. Oh,
So it's
yeah, just copy and paste that like entire...
no. We will take it. Oh, it
Oh.
also gave me a JSON of it.
Let's go. Whoops.
Can I just copy that JSON?
Yeah. Sheesh.
Don't think so.
Metadata.
What I will do instead, I will just take a screenshot of it
Yeah. Yeah.
and give it to composer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is the encoding info.
Boom. Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you for sharing. This is in standard format. This is format standard.
Let's see
So
what it changes.
MOOV atom location is something. This is potentially that is causing the issue with streaming or quick start.
What is MOOV?
The MOV atom contains important metadata for a video, and having it in the middle can cause playback issues, especially when streaming.
Wow. There we go. Dude, that's so insightful.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have heard that word for the first time. So all this did not go to waste.
Whoa.
Did you
And
know
then
about
now
it,
we
Ray?
have a new keyword that we can pop into our search queries too on web. How to handle MOOV atom streaming on Swift. And then they can go look at that stuff up on the web and maybe get that as far as context to help us debug. Dang.
Nothing worked.
Yeah. Maybe open up a new like chat window or composer, like maybe a chat window or something in cursor and say, help me, like just that way we clear out the context and give it fresh, set of tokens and stuff.
Mhm.
And so is it doing anything special that you've seen in the code to like help debug or figure this out?
It is written a lot of more code than the earlier one. So it is using AV Asset Writer. I remember using AV Asset Writer for the app, the mesh gradient app, remember? So
Yes.
I was using it to export the video. So I was creating one frame at a time.
Oh, wow.
So this is something that's what it's doing as well. It uses the AV asset to manually read and write the video. and process both the audio and video tracks separately.
Interesting.
And
Bro.
it hopefully resolves that MOV issue. It's crazy. Uh, what's the problem? EVSA track has no output.
I see.
What is it?
No member.
Even when we were doing this, it said that middle is a wrong thing.
Middle? That's interesting. So I would say just let's open up a new chat, giving it the MOV item location. Like we're trying to. Oh, I see. Still writing code and stuff.
Yeah, it did something, a lot of code. Hopefully this time it works.
Downloading error. Cannot open.
Oh man, this is crazy. We went from just using video APIs to knowing everything about video encoding.
Yeah, I feel like so that's interesting because working with images and prompts, it's so easy. It's like it loads up, it totally knows a lot about that. But video, like there's just a whole array of things that you need to learn to get this going. So if somebody would know it, it's actually going to be Mr. Frank, who gave us a super chat. Hi, Mr. Frank, just tuning in. Hi, Rudrank. So what we're having an issue here, Mr. Frank, is that Rudrank, we've been going to go get these using these new video player models. And so we've been successfully able to use the network request to go get them and put them onto the device. But when we hit play, it's just like, it's like, you can't play this video type. And so we tried for a while to, thinking it was us. And we like go to a web browser, it works fine. And then we realized like, oh, let's try a different video URL that's not from FAL. And it plays fine on the device. We're like, of course. And it's probably like an encoding issue. And so that's kind of where we're going through this trap right now. So if you have any hints or anything that'd be interesting, let us know, because I know you're an expert at streaming. And what we did is we popped the video into a website. And if you have any references and stuff, that could be very helpful for others who are doing Swift development. And so this website, I think, was telling us the actual file format. And then it's something about MOV ATOM that we just kind of like discovered today. And we're like, what is this? And so we're having Cursor try to figure this out a little bit here. So it's something about this ATOM locations in the middle, and it's kind of freaking out. It's specifically for this FAL like video models and stuff. So FAL does like, a temporary URL.
Am I 100% sure that it's not working?
I see. Oh, I see. So if you just put the video device locally and just reference it, got it. Okay. So yeah, the URL still works because we still keep going back and it still keeps loading for us. But that's a good point. And so what we're doing right now is we're trying to really see if it's actually like an encoding issue and stuff. What you were trying to use FAL video generation and adding voice on top of it. That's probably what we would do next if we get this working here at True Health. Yeah. But so right now, that's a really good debugging point there, Rudrank, about putting the thing in. Because fixing the frames locally on device from an API of what? We're doing the API call to fal.ai for the runway ML models. And it's returning back the content. So we initially saved it locally on device and then try to play back from there. And that's where the playback's failing too. So it's kind of really weird. And so you're just trying another thing just to like put the video inside the thing and see if you can actually play it back from that and see if there's any problems there. I just reproduced this application with Cursor and got it to work. What's your issue? That's interesting.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Or is it my Xcode?
It possibly. Yeah, I don't know. He says it works fine.
Okay, so if I do
it works fine for
manually,
you. Yeah,
it's working fine.
Yeah,
local sample video works.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Maybe that's why it works fine And there's possibly something that the way that because it does says it gets the
No.
URL, it puts it on device. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Well,
So the sample video worked when I'm doing it like this.
mm-hmm.
And so what would be the next step? So the next step, let's get rid of everything that we have, all this blah, blah, blah stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want is to do is create a new composer window.
I was going to say, what
and
if you
we'll
just start from
see
scratch and just pull in the other components that you
in
want?
this.
Yeah.
Here's a video. Please use this video to download it locally first and then play it. This is something that we had done for Minimax and that worked perfectly, but for some reason it was not working for this
Runway
runway
ML.
model.
Yeah. You get a callback and play the video when the completion block is done? Question mark. Is that what you're doing?
Do I get a callback when the completion is done? I did not get that. Which completion?
I think when you gave it the URL, you had it download locally. And then I wasn't sure if you got a callback or not. Like what's the callback? Like saying, hey, everything's on disk and ready to go, and just kind of hit play.
For the video itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, downloading video. Oh, is it working now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It works. Oh, man. Hours of debugging.
Why?
Yeah. Prashad, what's up, man?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why?
Coding with AI.
What was I doing wrong before? No.
No, you get a call back from Fal? Question mark.
So FAL has, from what I see from the documentation, you have to. They do not have a webhook URL as in a callback. You have to kind of poll or hit the request again and again to get the status back. Replicate has this.
Oh, Replicate has a callback, so you could just.
I won't say it's a callback as in if it is taking 1 minute, then it will send you back after a minute. But I was working with I think Luma AI directly, the Dream Machine, and they do have a webhook URL that you can kind of subscribe to using your own server. Please use async await.
Wow.
Don't wow me, Ray. It's embarrassing.
What's that?
We just spent like an hour or more than an hour doing this.
I mean, that's how it happens in real life, dude. Like it happens at all levels, man. Don't be embarrassed. Like every level of developer has gone through this, like before AI, even with AI, probably even more now with AI, where you pull your hair out a little bit and then like you come back, you're like, of course, it was that simple. And I feel like because the camera is on, the lights are on, and like there's a little bit of, I don't think there's a little bit of pressure, but I feel like everyone is here doing like real development. Everyone kind of understands this. Yeah, Mr. Frank, super experienced guy. This is real development, everyone. This is actually going through the phases of like, as much as we want to do, like, let's make a Python game of Snake like in one shot. It's like, that's not what you do to make money. Like that's cute and all, but like, that's not what we're here to do. We're actually here to like use these AI models, and we're going to run into challenges just like this. Like you can run into the same exact challenge just the way we did. And it's like, okay, let's just kind of take this apart a little bit. Let's slow down. And like, are we getting the network request? Let's run the curl command that we did in terminal. We're getting that. Okay. Oh, it was malformed. Let's go ahead and fix that, and isolate that issue. And once we fix that, we moved on to the next phase. Let's get the video to play back. Cool. It plays back. Let's try another model. Why is that model not playing back now? What's going on with the, that model that's different? And then going through that series of steps. How we're doing the research has been super important. We're using Perplexity, you're using Cursor, you're using the @documents feature, Safari, Stack Overflow. That's just, normal software development workflow. And so If you're here to just kind of get like a one quick shot, this is not the video for you. I feel like this is much more for those who are really interested in learning and trying to see like how other people do debugging. And there's a lot of value in watching other people kind of work through stuff. So that's kind of what we do here. So True Health says, yeah, it's fine. It's very fun to follow. And people are actually vibing with this. Fooled by
Yeah,
primes.
I guess they're like kind of relating to my struggles.
Yeah. Because it's like nobody would probably be that confident to have a
Yeah.
camera turned on to them to watch them code, right? Like here, I have turned on the camera and I was like, hey, let me watch you code. It's like, that can be embarrassing. And, I think kudos to you for allowing me to, basically watch over your back. And I feel like that's a lot of what I did when I was younger. Like I would watch senior people work. They went through bugs too. Like we would go to lunch and we would talk about it. And, we were like, yo, so what could be happening? And then you talk to somebody else or somebody comes to the table and sits down and then he brings the problem over and tells them and like, or this lady, she came through and she just kind of like gave us some game and like, oh, I ran into that issue. I spent like a couple weeks figuring that out, but this is what you need to do. Just this is one thing. It's like, of course, so other people go through that because they're using that specific framework or they've solved that problem earlier in their career and they just give that to you. So yeah, it's kind of building in public, coding in public, live streaming in public is totally awesome. So this is kind of what it's all about. So the process of debugging and trying things over and over is how you actually level up. And that's a really key thing from Mr. Frank. I think it's super important. This iteration process is to like, we really want this to work. We really want the fact you can type in a prompt, you get a video, you can choose different model providers, and then they'll be available on your device on iOS, which means you can get on your Mac, then you can get on your Vision Pro, you can do these types of things. And for those who don't know, let me just kind of give you some sauce a little bit. So some inside secrets is that for those who don't know, like, like this is some secret sauce. Well, not really, but it's sort of known, but a lot of people don't really repeat this because it's not really, I don't know, but I'll say it. The people who make the most money are the people who actually sell apps in the actual Apple App Store. It's the most profitable place. If you sell apps in other stores, the people who actually spend a lot of money are actually going to be the Apple customers. There is a reason why there's a huge challenge to it, but there's a lot of rigor in terms of even just getting your app published and all those things. So don't get caught up into the wave of people saying, oh my God, Apple didn't approve it or it takes 2 weeks. Once your app is like on the store and it's on the shelf, it's like premium tier. It's like having you walk into the grocery store. It's like displayed right in front. It's all clean. It's good looking. And there's a lot of trust that inherently goes because people spend extra money on these Apple products, expecting a higher level of rigor from this company. And they're just not going to allow these types of things. So if you're able to make it through all these barriers, you're seeing all the stuff that we're having to run into just to get a video to play. Once you make it through that barrier, you're already in and you're past a ton of developers who just already gave up and not wanting to implement that. And so because these people's credit cards are stored in the App Store, that is extremely valuable. And the click to purchase is so easy for them. They don't even think about it. If they have to go to a window saying, oh, this is a third-party provider and this app may or may not live on my device, there's a lot of hesitation and it's very easy for people to just say, I'll take a look at that later. So Apple's, as much as possible is incentivized to, has all these types of incentives. And so watching us work through this process is just part of this whole thing. And if you feel it's discouraging, that's okay. But if you do make it through these humps and you do keep iterating and keep trying, what you get out on the other end is going to be like super valuable. And as once you unlock one thing, you just keep going. So it's just this whole process. Just kind of wanted to distill that myth there. So I'll support with buying your cursor package on Gumroad. I've been following on Twitter. Oh, that's cool. True Health. That's awesome.
That's
Yes.
nice.
So for
Thank you
those
so
who,
much.
yeah, that's super awesome. So it's the.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that I am kind of more confident now to move ahead.
Mhm.
So what we will do is I'm just going to use this image and the prompt again just to make sure that our encoding is working well.
Mhm.
So we had this, we'll go back to cursor and going to zoom out a bit
Mhm.
and zoom in a bit, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then in the video generation shell with where is this? the video generation service. I will provide a different prompt just to make sure that everything is working,
Mm-hmm.
which is about a majestic tiger in
Mm.
a white blanket.
Oh, nice.
And then we will go back to our Xcode and see if it works well or not. So for this, I'm going to use the runway Gen 3 model,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of passing the mock view model, I'm actually passing the content view model.
Mm.
So it should everything should work
Rebuild it, maybe.
as it should. Oh, I'm sorry, it's using a constant selection right now. Why is it using a constant selection? I think it was mocking the video as well. Wow. Please add a selection. Uh, it no. So I think it's, and the video generation, it should be a published value, and not this one. Oops. So in the video generation, how are we setting video generation service as a selected model option? Okay. So what I will do is add a video selection value to the view model, and the for the picker. Right now, for the examples, we had hard coded it, but it is not passing the value. Pass the value to the view model. Uh, I don't think there's any method as such. It is the video generation service dot view model. We are getting some errors. It has hallucinated badly here, so I will just revert the changes that I had. I'll just use Composer. You were right, Ray. It's Command K is only for very quick edits and not for bigger ones.
Yeah.
Add a published, add a value for the changing the picker, and then use that value in the video generation service and the view model. This is helpful because we are going to add two more models after this. How long has this been? Because I had a agenda for the day and I want to complete it
Oh my
at any
gosh.
cost.
Yeah, we're currently live at like 2 hours and 47 minutes.
Oh, it's going to take another hour if I'm not wrong.
Well, we can also break it up and do like part 3, which could be really interesting because like I feel like we've done a lot of the heavy lifting to like just do debugging. So like part 2 of this masterclass has literally just turned into like debugging session. So how do you debug like a network request? What do you do in curl to like make sure it's not you and not your code, right? Are you actually interacting with the API correctly? So like that was a pretty big learning at the first phase of this video. Then the second phase is like loading the stuff onto the actual device, which is what we were doing. And then going through all those phases of like playing back video, understanding video encoding, like what are we doing wrong? What could be going wrong? And then we've kind of learned a little bit of how you kind of mock up the different views and debug them so you don't like basically keep hitting the API. And like, you know, wasting a lot of your dollars on there, which is super interesting. And so maybe we can do like a part 3 and you know, because I feel like this is going to get out there, people are going to share it and they're gonna be like, oh cool, you can actually work with video images. And so when we start the next video, we'll have already an app that's working, and if people want to kind of catch up a little bit, they can go there. Maybe some people just kind of want to see the continuation of this process. That way you can get a break a little bit, get some food, and it's actually 12 here, so that means it's midnight plus over there on your end of the world. And so we're literally like 12 plus hours apart, like doing this live stream. coding with AI, and I feel like not a lot of people right now are doing like live Swift development too much with AI models. There are a couple folks that are out there that are doing this, but I feel like we were trying to encourage this, and things like this happen as far as like issues that we run into with problems. But it's really helpful to watch people, and this is like real development. So yeah, that's kind of an issue there. Prashad says, is there a significant difference between building an iOS app in Xcode and building one with React Native and Expo? Yeah, there's like significant differences, and there's a lot of different ways this can go. I think you're probably asking, is there an advantage? Maybe, and this is kind of what I get from the question, is there an advantage of building with Swift versus building with React or Expo? Is there like a performance difference? Is there anything in the UI? Are there stuff that you can tap into from an API perspective that you can on Swift that you maybe can't on Expo? Like, what are some of those limitations or gotchas? I'm not really too versed into React Native and Expo, and I think that'd be really good. If you know anyone out there, or if anyone is a React Native or Expo developer, would love to have you on the show. It would be really fun to have you and maybe a panel of other folks who develop in Swift and just kind of have this conversation like back and forth. Because I think that could be very valuable. There's a lot of people who are trying to decide for platforms. But I think that the best bet is to just choose one thing and just kind of stick with it, because that's what's going to help you learn pretty fast. And so in my current journey, I said, okay, I'm sticking with Next.js because I want to learn backend and server side and front end development as well. And then tie that back in later with the client side stuff. So I'm kind of on that journey right now, and it's been kind of fun to watch other people develop in Swift and see this type of journey and share that with you as well. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, my friends. Yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
Let me cook. So if anyone's watching the stream right now, definitely hit the thumbs up. If you're watching as well, like hit the retweet button just to make sure that it gets out there a little bit more to the different people. Follow us if you're not following along. And I also wanted to kind of give a heads up that there's a resource that Rudrank has put together. It's called Tab to Code. So if you're not familiar, tabtocode.com is a way to actually support Rudrank in his efforts here. He's actually trying to come back to the US to do some other workshops and various things. So tabtocode.com is basically a little book that he has currently published right now on Gumroad, which will allow you to explore Cursor AI editor for iOS development. And so the book is basically for people who are developing on the Apple platform. And so you get to see a little bit of his workflow, and he gives you like a getting started guide, tells you a little bit about Composer, Cursor Chat. A lot of it's focused for iOS development. So those folks are wanting to do that. He also covers a little bit about hot reloading. So like what plugins he's using for that to make sure that when you're doing, you can do the hot reloading stuff. SweetPad. He has a couple blog posts talking about this, but this goes a little bit more into detail. So that's just one way to give a heads up to support Rudrank. So just even for being on the stream and for doing those types of things. So definitely appreciate that. And so Piyush,
I think thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm flattered. I just wanted to say that I finally fixed the issues that we had.
Nice.
And we'll just use Runway Gen and see if we can get a video working and downloading.
Nice.
Let's see.
So Piyush says, in my opinion, if your app is not so complex, the performance difference will not be that much. Yeah. So it's just whatever you're trying to get going. Yeah. So will it build? So what you've done so far is just kind of fix some bugs to make sure that you can just generate some images from the model.
Yes. I'm not sure why I'm not getting...
Oh.
I did get some generated URL.
Ooh.
We are back at the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
What now?
It's funny because the iOS camera zooms right into you as soon as you went like this.
The center stage.
Yeah, center stage is funny. So you've changed some code. You've done some things. You implemented
I have not changed anything.
Really?
So the thing is, we got this video, but it downloaded locally, but it would not work.
Mm-hmm.
Just use a UI ID here just to be sure. And instead of generating a new video, I will just use what I have here. Right, I'll just pass this let URL equal to URL string. Sometimes I'll would directly use because it's much easier. Nope. Ray, what
If you
should we
pass in the,
do?
what about the other URL that you had? Do you still have that one around by any chance? The one that did work?
I think it's this one because I did not change the formatting. Nope, that's not working anymore. Let me just be sure that I did not delete any code there. So this video still works fine, and if I use this video, where is it? Okay, so there
Whoa.
is something wrong.
Interesting.
What am I doing here? So it's better to ask cursor. So here I would just say open a new chat and say here is the code for downloading. What is the difference with what I have? Let's compare and highlight the differences. The main difference is the status manager, unique file name. Please use this instead. I don't think it does anything crazy.
Right. Will it cook? Let's see. Yo, we got the bunny, right?
And just to be sure, we'll use this link. So maybe there was something wrong with my code. It's yep, it worked.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So now we know that our video generation dot generate video. Try await. So now that we know that everything works on our end, now we will go to the second step, which should have happened 2 hours ago. Is we will use a different uh, we will just use an image from Unsplash to see how it works. Okay. No. Why should I use Unsplash? Why should I use the website directly when I have cursor? So let's go back to our video generation. We have
Cool.
this here. So please fetch a random image. Give me a hint, Ray.
Oh,
I'm very tired.
oh, you mean to grab something?
Yeah.
Let's do images of the beach.
beach
Yes.
from
Hawaii. I love
Unsplash,
Hawaii. I'll see you soon, Hawaii,
Hawaii,
November 1st.
and what should be the prompt?
Oh, you mean for like the beach image?
Yes.
Let's see. Um, I guess we can kind of get like a Halloween theme on the beach, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Drone shot of a Halloween party as
Yes.
a prompt.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I like this. So you're basically highlighting that prompt section. Maybe go to Command Plus to make it a little bit bigger so people can see.
Okay.
There you go. And seeing, yeah. Wow.
Okay. And I'll just open this link to be sure that it's not NSFW.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Oh,
Okay.
ooh, that's nice.
It's
So that's the original link.
okay.
So you're feeding it in an image in this type of thing. It's going to use that and then add the prompt and then try to combine the two for runway. And then it should generate a drone shot video, right? I mean, here we go. Let's go. Yo, I need
If
to see
everything
fires in the
works
chat.
again.
Yeah, throw some fire emojis in the chat if you're going to be feeling this, like just to give it the vibes. You know, it's just going to be fire. Like I want to see that. I feel like we need the vibes right now. It's been a long day for you, man. You've been like not only coding all day, like I got you on the stream coding for like 2+ hours, debugging and breaking down stuff. But you know, you also been working on your book, which is kind of putting that out there. And I have it linked also down below in the different things there. So let's go, Frank. Oh, you got the video back already? Let's go. Let's see.
Yes, we got the video back. So it's not like a kind of drone shot,
Right.
but it is something.
Okay.
It is a drone shot, but it's not like a Halloween party that is happening there.
I
So we will
see.
use the Minimax model. This is the exact idea that when I give it a prompt like this, then I can have four or grids where we have Minimax, Runway, Kling, and Luma G Machine.
Whoa. All
This
in
was the
one
original
shot.
idea. All in
Wow.
one shot. That way a
Dang.
lot. I think $2 per one generation.
Wow. And so for those who don't know, who were just starting the stream, the goal of this stream was to try to see if we can have that whole thing, like, yeah, all of the video models available. So that way you can test them out. Literally, it's the same prompt and we're going to put it into a different model. Some are slower, some are faster than others. Runway is pretty fast. But as you see with Runway, we gave it the instructions about a Halloween party and it wasn't too excited. And so we are like, okay. It could also be the way that we formatted the request, right? So when we sent it over to Runway,
Yes.
there could be some additional parameters that we need to add to make it much more wanting to comply with our thing. And if we had probably more time, maybe in the part 3, we can just kind of maybe go into how we would continue this code and kind of build off this structure. So this could be like a multi like week series where we can kind of maybe continue to build this code and kind of make this more feature rich, right? So we maybe would talk a little bit about architecture and how you would, you know, maybe make a class to handle these types of things and like have one specifically for Runway Gen 3 and those types of things and parameters that it needs to handle for the API. And then how you would maybe display different stuff in the UI if you select a different model. Or we can make hard decisions in saying, okay, if the user is doing these types of things, this is exactly what their intent is. And we'll pass that into the rest of the models as a baseline. And then maybe offer additional things that people can tweak. So that'd be really interesting to kind of talk about that some more. Mr. Frank says, try the Kling model on FAL. It's less expensive and has great results. KLING.
Okay, so we will follow, but because Minimax is taking ages. So
Yes, it does.
so we will follow Mr. Frank's suggestion, and then we will go back to our code, and let's see while we are going to the code if Minimax does something for us. So we will use the files. What's the name?
KLING.
The Dream Machine or the Kling model,
Yeah,
right?
1.0, yeah.
I really wanted to play with it,
Yeah.
and
Let's just put that
it's
prompt
really,
in with that exact one with that Hawaii thing and see what we get.
and it is so cheap. It's so cheap compared to the other
Point
ones.
0.03, yeah. 3 cents. Boom. Boom. We just learned something.
Damn, man.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
hey, Melika
so
Miliki Maka, y'all. We riding this wave all day long. Fooled by primes. Yes. Dude, yeah, fooled by primes? Yo, you've been here from the beginning. You're an OG right now. Shout out. Thank you. This is awesome. Going to the islands. Just getting the island vibes, if you know what I mean. That's how we do. I need to get some island vibe music so I can get licensed. Yeah. What's up, man?
So I have got, so I went to the API and it's very similar, but I have to make sure that this time the API is correct. I see some changes that may like I have to like double check when I'm adding that.
Mhm.
But for now, we will go back. I'll make the screen bigger,
Okay.
and then we'll go to the video generation API, and this will use Composer again. We'll say that add link. What was it? Add link. No, this add link. Please add this model as well, which is cling, and please make sure that you add the correct results endpoint to the
Before you do
enum
this, should you
as
just check this
cases.
into Git so that we can like pop it back at any time?
I don't. Let's see.
Okay. Let's just try. There are
And-
checkpoints too, so we could, Command Z or whatever,
yeah.
YOLO, my friends. That's what we do here. Just ship it to... I only
Yes.
test in production. Let's go. Yo.
So we have everything on the code side is kind of same.
Oh, it
If the
failed. So you
problem
have to try
persisted,
again. Dang.
the connection failed. What happened? Okay.
Bro, you're cooking
Let
too
me
hard
try
right
it
now.
again.
The model's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Sweet.
Accept all, and we'll just close this window. So I just want to make sure manually do this because I have been burned too much before. So
Just try it.
Cling
Just hit the
video
run
V1
button. Let's go.
standard.
Let's go.
Cling V1 standard as
Oh,
published
I see. You're
video.
checking
Yes,
the
that's-
URLs. Got it. I see what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
And yep.
You're basically doing a
See-
human code
see,
review. Yeah.
I told you, right? I would get burned because the main base URL is until this one and not this one. It actually burned me again. So this goes here.
That's a super important lesson.
Yep.
So you have to understand how the URLs are constructed, and that's what would have failed the first time if we had done that. That's interesting.
And I will just try to build it. So now we already have, like, previews are working really nice because it's
Yes.
a baby app in the beginning. And we
yes.
are generating a video on the Hawaii one, and we'll try to generate the video and see if everything works.
So I want to ask you something, and I want to. There's people who are just tuning in now, or people who like started this video and then like may have not made it this far. But would you be willing to provide the code available just so people can start tinkering with it? I feel like we can make a branch saying this is part 2 code, and then like if we do part 3, you know how we continue off. That way people can kind of follow along on live. Because I feel like this could save a lot of people time. I mean, the amount of time that we saved to just get this video player up and running took us a while, but there's probably a lot here to learn just from looking at it. Obviously, we'll have the keys redacted, but that kind of thing.
This can be a whole app in itself. Like, and I can envision it as a way to kind of download it and use the file AI key, and then just have a way to understand which model works best for your use case. So
Yeah.
I have been open sourcing a lot of my work, and it's we should do the live stream part 1 as open source as well.
Okay.
Have that one as a branch 1 and this one as branch 2 or something.
Yes, exactly. In branches, that way people can kind of follow along, and so they can. I think that's a good idea. And for those who want to go support Rudrank, make sure that you go check out his tab2code.com. So tab2code.com. I'm just going to drop that in the chat here. And so tab2code.com basically is his book on exploring Cursor AI editor for iOS development. And in there, he's basically distilling down a lot of the stuff that he's learned over the past couple of months of using this, along with like hot reloading stuff that he's doing, final thoughts on like, how Cursor is impacting the IDE here, like these plugins like Sweetpad for Swift development. And it's basically all distilled down. He's made many blog posts, like 2 or 3 blog posts about this. And then we have the part 1 live stream, which is pretty long. So if you want to kind of condense everything down into a book and chapters and things you can follow, it's just $44. You can just go right onto tabtocode.com. It supports Rudrank directly, so that's just the way to kind of give some love to Rudrank for being on this live stream as well. And none of us are paid. We're not sponsored by any of these people. We're doing these things solely for the love of coding and just spreading this knowledge out for the rest of the community. Because I feel like there needs to be more of this, just showing that not everything is a perfect path. And when issues are encountered, it's really important to show us what we're thinking through this process. So that's just kind of my message to you, my public service announcement, I guess you could say. So yeah, and then with that, we're going to be dropping that code. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Mr. Frank. So I can see that I have 2 requests that I have made, and they are still in progress. It's
Wow.
Cling is
Oh
very
my God.
slow, or it's not that Cling is slow. I feel like the
A lot of
servers are
demand.
overburdened
Yes.
because they added this a few days ago, or maybe
Wow.
because both the requests are in progress, right?
Damn.
So if I go back, and I may have some other requests as well. So let's go and have image to video. We were using runway 3 ultra, and if I see the request, all of them completed. This one completed like 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
So this was faster, right? So Minimax was the slower one. So we'll go and search video
Wow.
and
Let's see what he
see
says here.
Minimax and see if our request.
It
So
might be
this
slammed,
one-
possibly from me. Hey, let's go. So he's basically saying it's slammed. The boys.
So this was the video. Remember the video that we were
Oh,
planning?
yes.
This was.
It finally
this is how
came
it
back.
Turned out to be.
Oh, that's
Yep.
sick. What? Oh, damn. That's from the Runway Gen 3 model.
This is the Minimax one, which
Look.
took a lot of time. And
90 seconds, or how long did it take? Almost 2 minutes? Oh, wait, hold on. Dude, that's sick.
maybe
Oh,
it
255
took,
seconds?
255 seconds. Damn.
Bro.
How much is that? It's almost 4 minutes.
Yeah,
More
4
than
minutes.
4 minutes.
Damn. It's
But
like
it was good, right?
yeah, we need to like do a part 3 where we work with push notifications and put stuff in a queue and then push it back to the user. And yo, this is crazy. I didn't realize these models. Well, obviously because they're, dude, that's insane.
So we got the video from Fal, Cling.
Oh,
Cling
Cling.
1.0.
Nice.
So
It did come through.
From what we can see is that Minimax is the best one, at least for this Halloween party on a Hawaiian beach.
Yes, that's amazing. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, cool. So our app does work. It just takes a long ass time to do it.
Yes, yes.
Up to 4
The app
minutes, it looks
works.
like. Wow. And there's no way
Because-
to waiting 5 seconds before next. Dang.
Yeah, if 5 seconds is too much now, it feels like we can do it 10 or 15 at this point.
Mhm.
So, because that beach video took almost 6 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's
So
crazy.
this one was started at 1, and we are already 3 minutes. So we will have to wait for another 2 minutes
That's
for
insane.
the Cling model to work. So
Wow.
even though Cling is cheap,
Yeah.
it feels like it is taking time. So
Yes.
we can utilize that time. And what I want to do is like wrap up with adding Luma Dream Machine
Let's go.
in the meanwhile. Yep.
Dude, you're beast mode right
now
now.
that we are
Dude, it's like 1 a.m. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. your
I'm
time. And you're like, let's
I'm
go. I
compensating
just got
for
this
all the
going.
time.
I love this. I love this spirit. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break and I'll let you cook right now. I'll be right back in a second.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I have the mic now, right now. Hi everyone. Welcome back to my show. It's not race shows anymore. So we have the link of this request, and it is a Luma Dream Machine request with image to video. And if we look at the request, this one should be easy. It does not have any extra parameters attached to it. Not parameters, I forgot the sub components to the URL. So we'll copy the URL and go back to cursor. I see that we got the video back, and this is how it looks after almost 5 minutes. And I'm not happy with Kling at all. The quality is better than Runway, but it took too much of time to give that quality. The only one that really followed the uh, prompt is Minimax, and let's see how this Luma Dream Machine does. So we'll open a composer view again, create a new composer, and say add this, add link. Please add another model and make sure that it uses the correct results endpoint. And because we have already set up everything in a way that adding a new model is just adding it to the enumeration itself, and we do not have to touch anything on the video on the view model or the view side itself, which is pretty nice. And you would normally work your this is how you would normally work. And you can see that Luma Dream Machine and Minimax share the same thing, so we can kind of manually make update it. So if I go back and to the video generation service, I can just say minimax dot run no not runway dot luma dream machine and get rid of this. And I think Luma Dream Machine should be available directly. So if we open the simulator and we run it from Xcode, where is Xcode? It should be directly available as a the
Yo,
yep,
what
we
I
have
miss?
the Luma. And
Dude, what?
the next part after doing this video is that you can see that this request is already in progress. So after this I forgot the name, it's the tab control. We will convert them into a grid, so that in each of the grid we fill the video itself. But then the video is taking 3-4 minutes, and
Yeah.
you will just see some animation or a progress view in all those grids. And another iteration we can do is that we will make sure that all the 4 requests are in parallel and not in series. We use a task group for that. And what we do is that we kind of wait for each of the video at the same time, so that the comparison is more unbiased, because we see that runway will be the first one to hit, and we will just watch that video first, and the other 3 will come after 3-4 minutes. So this one took much lesser time. So from the time perspective, runway is the fastest, Luma Dream is the second fastest, Kling is the third, and Minimax is the slowest. But Minimax gave us the best video.
Dude, this looks so good. Can we just ship it?
Yep.
Damn, dude, you already got that. So in like the time I went to the bathroom and came back, you already got like Luma Dream Machine going. Sheesh.
Yep. I told you I have to compensate for all the time that I lost. So in the content view, what I want to do next is that instead of using this picker view, I would ask composer instead of using picker, please use a grid with the name and that can be selected. So right now we are still doing one at a time and not having all four of them in one go. So that's how I like doing development, which is like very step by step breakdown a complex problem into very simple steps and then go one step at a time. And I think that's how it should be. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, I think it's good because sometimes if you try to move too quickly, then you'll like break even more things. And wow, that looks nice. That's pretty. I already like the button feels here. And yeah, like we were trying to break down the curl request earlier, you know, making sure you can kind of isolate down in smaller components, and you'll start to get a natural feel the more you do this over time. It's a good way to approach it. And then you, because we're still like in this like early prototypey type phase. It's like, will this work? Can it work? And then we're already quickly learning that, oh wow, stuff is taking longer. So sometimes if you spend too much time pre-architecting, it's just easier to go right into the code, go directly to the source, grab the things, and you'll start finding bugs that are probably more important to fix than the things you originally thought were important. So it's just that iterative process. You become better at knowing what you're going to run into when you start things. And so that's kind of, you just need to get those reps in, basically. I think that's the best way to say that, right?
Where is this grid view? I think it's adding some kind of a. Why is it not? I wanted to take maximum width and make it. Or maybe I can have it 150. Yep, this is what I wanted. Looks nicer. And then I'll add a padding of vertical. To each model. Perfect. And instead of saying Luma Dream Machine, let's just call it Luma AI. Cling. So this is some much better interface than what we had before.
Yes,
And
it's nice.
what I want next is to have. Are you still up for this?
Yeah, I'm down. I got my food now, but I'm worried about you. You got to go to sleep, man.
Yeah,
Well,
I have
actually,
to
we should also
sleep.
ask the chat. Like, how's everyone in the chat doing? How are y'all following along? Because we've had like about 899 views from X. We got about 16 people watching live right now on YouTube, which is really awesome. And then we got some folks coming in on Twitch as well. So that's pretty sweet as far as the number of people going in through and following. And basically, what we're doing from the very beginning was basically trying to get this started as far as trying to make this video model stuff work. And we went through this entire process, just kind of showing you live how stuff really works with Cursor, how it works with Xcode, how Swift development is doing it. And Rudrank is the author of tab2code.com. So tab to code is basically his way to consolidate all of his learnings that he's been using with Cursor and developing with Swift, and kind of distilling that down into a whole book. So a lot of people don't have time to watch an entire live stream or many videos. And so it's got stuff that's in there for you to take a look as far as like, how do you set up your, your tabs and things, how Composer works, how you set up like SweetPad for basically building and running stuff in the simulator, hot reloading as well. And then like other little things, that tidbits and things that he learned, kind of sharing it all down. This is a series of multiple blog posts that he's done, but just kind of putting it all together in one book. And it's one good way to support him. So just giving you a heads up on that as a public service announcement.
I was just trying to add some futuristic image for each of the models' background. And
Yeah.
let's see what it does.
So if you're feeling the vibe, or you want us to do a specific image, call it out in the chat.
Please
Yeah.
a remote URL from Unsplash. Not docs at web. What I want is that while the videos are being generated, I do not want to just look at a progress view. I want to have some futuristic image, and that
Oh, that's interesting.
is
Like kind of like this loading view, and it shows something kind of to distract you.
yes, like looking at a plain image versus looking at a futuristic cyberpunk kind of image is much better any day. So why did it fail? It What's it hallucinated? For now, I will just do it manually.
Mr. Frank says it's a good
I won't
checkpoint to
say
finish up this section, and maybe is a payment section to buy credits. That way, this can be a full app. Oh,
exactly, exactly. It's a That's what I was thinking. In the next stream, if we go building on, we can have a credit system that you can use, and then use the store kit or revenue cat to do the payment processing, which is like a few lines of code. If it was not 1 a.m. in the morning, I would have done it right now.
yeah. I think that's probably what we should do. Just kind of wrap this up here, and kind of let people know a little bit about you, and then pull up your website, so that you can kind of show the audience, what you're working with, and then maybe if you
Just
have
give
some
me one
samples.
last second.
One last
Uh,
thing. So yeah.
I just want to make it a little prettier. Like, I'll just take this purple color from here and ask it to, well, where's the generate video?
Yo, how did you pull up that color thing?
Generate. So there's this app called as Color Slurp, and you can just use it to get the pretty colors.
That is so
when
hot.
you're
It's
in
built into Mac. That's nice. And you just put it into your. That's gorgeous.
This color is RGB.
Dang. Oh, that's so handy. Love it.
Yep. And for this images, I want the width to be 80 and the height to be. So just one last thing. What I wanted to do was make it end to end and remove this rounded borders. And for that, I have to remove this
I think you have
and
a
just
slash at the end or
make
something.
it. I think I had left this one. Okay. And remove any kind of padding from anywhere else that we have, like this one. Don't like it. And remove this padding. Remove this padding. Make the spacing 0. Perfect. And remove this corner radius. No, not this corner radius. I think on the image itself there's some corner radius. I'm sorry, Clay, but I have to do this. I cannot leave it on.
I love this like attention to detail as we're wrapping stuff up.
Yeah,
and
I could. The view should look nice.
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
That's kind of cool.
And where we still have some padding somewhere. I am not sure from where this padding is coming. And
I mean, you could ask the chat. Just put in chat. It's like where.
Let's see. I see some padding between the grid. Remove it. In this case, I usually use
It says
Command
padding
K if
top.
that's a good way, but it's
Oh,
removing all the paddings, but that won't work.
Hmm.
That's most likely not the problem. Yes, it's usually somewhere here, which is the problem. Modern selection, not see any padding anywhere. This one is not the culprit, it's on top of this.
Hi from
I
Amsterdam.
think this is good enough.
Jamie
for
says,
now.
we have someone from Amsterdam as well as watching. The content has been super helpful and fun. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a long slog, but I feel like we've kind of finally made some progress. And so what I'm trying to convince Rudrank to do is we're going to have this code published and available as open source as a way that you can download and start playing with this. So if you made it this far in the stream, definitely hit the like, hit the retweet. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, at Fernando1337, find us on X, Rudrank at RUDRANK RIYAM on X as well. And he also has a thing called tab2code.com to go, send some support, distilling all of his learnings down that he's been able to share with us on stream today. Love from India from Ishan Potnis. Really, thank you so much. And also big shout outs to Mr. Frank, who's like the MVP of the chat, hitting us up with that super chat 199, just tuning in. Hi from Rudrank. So definitely appreciate that. Has been a huge resource in helping us talk through some things as far as streaming and giving us some advice as far as like how we're doing things
So
on here. Yeah.
I just wanted to show the power of what this called the cursor tab. So you can see that for the button I added this color with a hex, but I do not have that method mentioned anywhere. So I just wrote extension and it filled color, and then it automatically said init hex automatically. I had to do nothing, and this is the power of cursor tab that Apple just cannot match.
Wow.
Maybe like, even though it's a few lines, this is why I love when I say tab programming, because I just did tab there and then I'm doing tab again and this tab everywhere.
That's crazy cool. Oh, that's nice. So now you just give it the hex.
Yep. And it kind of knows what I'm going to type. Like here I wanted to add a padding, and before I just wrote .p and it automatically added a horizontal padding. So it kind of just knows what I'm up to next.
Wow. That's hot.
So,
Yes. So once you have the app up and you're starting to make some changes and do different things, is sort of the advantage of cursor, like to kind of keep going with your code or adding more features and stuff. That's nice. Okay.
my main idea of having all of them at the same time still remains, and I still have, if I go back to my account on Val, I still have $12 left still.
Yeah. So drop some support. I guess go to your website, which is tab to code, so people can see as we're kind of wrapping
So
up the stream. Yeah.
So this tab to code was an idea that I wanted to work on, which is everything that I've learned about working with cursor over the past few months. And my main idea is that $44 or $22 if you live in India is more than 2 months of Cursor Pro, and I wanted to justify that cost. And I feel like a lot of the things that I've learned, or small nuggets here and there, are very important. And once you get the hang of it, you will eventually write much faster code than you are doing with Xcode. And today's live stream, what happened in the first few hours, is something we were not expecting at all, because this whole live stream was impromptu. But that gives an idea of how things work when you're trying out something for the first time. And we were just not sure that there will be something called as MOV in a video that we downloaded, an AI generated video, that will be causing such issues. So that was some fun. What do you think, Ray?
I think is really great. And for those who are just tuning in, we're also going to have the code available for you to download as open source. And it's just one way of supporting Rudrank and his efforts. So if you want him to come back, definitely drop some comments, because we're going to do part 3. And the part 3 is a suggestion from a good friend of ours on the show, Mr. Frank. And he says it's a good checkpoint to finish up and maybe do a payments section so that people can buy credits for the full app. And I feel like this is a really cool way. We're pushing the edges here using AI to code. And, it's still kind of rough, right? Like, it's not built into Xcode. We're kind of having to like sneak out the back door from Apple and be like, yo, come out the back window, like it's kind of like, let's go code over here in this cool space and then put it back into Xcode, right? So it's just the way that things are right now, and things will obviously change in the future. But it's not too late to get started. These models are coming out. They're available for Swift. And by putting the code out there, you can kind of learn from it and see if you can add features to it, right? Start asking Cursor to help me add this feature, or help me add this model, or, this is a model and here's some documentation. And we showed you here on this live stream how you can connect the documentation URLs by adding that in, or just giving it URL links and have it do the implementation, and make sure that you, follow along and make sure that it does implement it correctly with those URLs. And in here, we've also dropped some debugging stuff too. So all of these things I feel like are kind of leading up to everything. And definitely stay tuned, follow us along, because Ray Fernando 1337 on the socials there. You got Rudrank as well, RUDRANK, RIYAM on X as well. Follow your boy, Mr. Frank, if you haven't seen him around on X and YouTube. And I think that's a pretty good way to kind of summarize and wrap up, our part 2 of our masterclass, is continuing this stuff online. It's pretty late over where you're at in the world, almost 2 a.m. It's about 1 p.m. here on our side, and we've been going strong for 3 hours and 33 minutes. This is like totally beast mode style programming, but that's just what happens. You get really into it, and hopefully you've been able to take a lot of takeaways. I will have some timestamps and this stuff in the description as far as where you can get some of these resources as well. So yeah, if you have anything else to add, Rudrank?
I wish I had something more. We could have achieved a lot more if we did not get into the debugging session.
Mhm.
But I hope that you learned something new from this video,
Yeah.
and just understand that the main idea of using cursor or Xcode is not to choose between the IDs. The main idea is to ship as fast, not as fast as you can, but it's like ship and be happy, and just ship more and be
Hmm.
happy and make your customers happy, irrespective of what tool you use. Just think of cursor as another tool that you use, and if you use it correctly and you understand how much it can help you out, then I think you would be able to ship a lot more. I this uh, month itself, I have written 5 or 6 packages that I would not have been able to do it myself. I could have done it, but then each day, the whole day would have been spent on writing a package. Right now it just took me 1 hour to ship a package, and if told myself the same thing 5 months ago or 3 months ago, I would like, you're just joking, you're just making it up. And the best part of everything is that this is still the beginning, because I am still manually coding in cursor. We still have not reached a point where I can just write one line that create this app, and then we have an AI agent that whips up an agent to create a new project file and automate the whole process. And then for the errors that I found, it somehow finds that, okay, the URL is not working remotely, then we download it locally and do it. So there will be like a kind of factory of AI agents that are doing everything for us.
Right.
And that is the future that I'm looking for. Like me and Ray are just chilling in Hawaii
Yeah.
and then having our espresso martini, and there
Yes.
are like hundreds of
Low
agents who are
coffee.
making our apps and doing the marketing for us, and we are just printing money.
And
So
our
that is the
agents are fighting
future.
with your agents and so forth, and that's the goal. And I feel like you still have to get those reps in, understand why errors happen, guide the AI along, guide yourself along, teach yourself something, ask different questions, and that's kind of what we're here for. So if you've been able to power through this entire thing, kudos to you for like the 3+ hour, 3.5 hour live stream. This is a world record event for us, and we're going to try to bring you more of this because we feel like it's just really important to code in public, code what we're doing, debug in public, show you the thought process. And that's definitely an awesome place to be. If you haven't had a chance to, again, like, subscribe, support us down below. Rudrank Riyam, thank you so much for joining. We're going to have a part 3 coming up where we're going to connect this to the payments, give some credits and so forth. And then we're going to have this app available for download. So stay tuned. And on that note, thank you all very much and see you soon. Peace out, y'all.
Have a good night, or have a
A good
good
morning.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, exactly. All right. See y'all.